Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday night, and that means it's time for more BOL Platinum. I am Alls. I am joined by Sharpie today, and Yarko's not quite able to make it because, of course, it is the American Thanksgiving holiday. And you know what I'm thankful for, Sharpie? Some great Plat League of Legends. We've got Dorado Gaming Gamma on the blue side, Bloom Lotus on the red. This is going to be a best of 5 for a spot in BOL Finals next week.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see which of these two orgs is going to come out and assert their dominance and say, we are going to take a spot in finals. We deserve to be here. And both teams are excited to get into this clearly because we're already into draft.
Yeah, no rest for the wicked here. But while they're going through these first bans, we can touch on what these teams have done to get here. Dorado Gamma, like all of the Dorado teams in every amateur league everywhere, right up there at the top of the class, finished first in their division and got, I believe, second overall in the placement week. Bloom Lotus down there in, I believe, the second squad of teams, so pretty close behind, and has made it all the way to semifinals, so not half bad. Not surprising as well that we see the Jinx picked first off, as you mentioned in pregame, she's felt really, really impressive recently.
You know, Jinx has been really strong, and then on the flip side, Orianna has also been very strong. I've been casting a bunch of games in the Gold League, and the Gold League Orianna gameplay has been fantastic, and paired with this Nocturne, you're going to have those invisible shockwaves, which I'm very much excited to see how they're going to play with that, because, you know, Nocturne is also a shockwave delivery tool, so that jungle mid synergy already very strong for Bloom Lotus.
Yeah, Dorado not wasting any time firing back with these picks, though. Maokai and the Victor. And, you know, we think about Maokai a lot as being just a pure jungler. But recently, especially in some of these mid to lower ranked leagues, we've been seeing Maokai in the support role as well.
Yes, we have. Maokai with that kind of hybrid AP tank build has been, you know, wreaking some havoc. You know, Maokai, this big tree with that massive ultimate, that ability to just untargetably lock onto an enemy, just, you know, stun them up and say, you're not going anywhere, and even knock them backwards into the rest of their team. There's so much engaged potential, so much utility. And, you know, speaking of engaged potential and utility, Bloom Lotus responds with the R3, picking the Ornn for the top side.
Yeah, it's a nice, safe champion. Picking at R3 as well means you can defend against some of the normal counters here. The Camille being taken away, the Olaf as well. Gwen is still on the table, but given what Dorado's already picked up, it wouldn't fit very well. It would leave them without much of a front line here outside of the Maokai, so it makes sense that they're not super concerned about that being picked up here.
Yeah, Camille Olaf rather, very good bands. And then, so I'm seeing two support bands there from the side of Dorado. So I'm thinking Maokai just might be a support. Otherwise, why would they be pinching their own champion pool there? So we'll have to see how they draft it out. As Bloom Lotus decides to go, they react to this Jinx, potentially Jinx Maokai lane with another more or less immobile AD carry who also has a lot of team fight set up there with the Freljordi and Ashe.
Yeah, we do have to be careful though, because over the past couple of patches, Ashe support has become a thing once again, so it's entirely possible that we're going to get a curveball from Lotus. However, Dorado going to be firing a little bit more straightforward here as the Mordekaiser is picked up. This leaves top lane in a bit of a skill matchup here, Sharpie, as Ornn has plenty of ways to counter that Mordekaiser, but if 9-Line Klein can get this rolling early, it's going to be disastrous for Bloom.
Yeah, it's very much a skill matchup. They both have ability to be so impactful in team fights, to be so impactful for each other in lane. It's all about landing those skill shots. Can Mordekaiser get the pull? Can Ornn get that, I forget what the key was called, but the QWE combo, and get that brittle proc from the Flame Spitter, or whatever that thing is called. Flame Spitter is Rumble, but it's the same thing. It's Bellows Breath, that's what it's called.
There you go.
The Bellows Breath, and getting that brittle proc off. There's a lot of ability for these champions, you know, to be very aggressive back and forth. Can Mordekaiser get that shield, you know, play around that shield very well? We will have to see, as last two picks are going to be Alistair and Renata Glass. So very interesting. Both these teams really opting into this heavy team fight style. There isn't really a lot of, side lane, one maybe a little bit with the Mordekaiser, but for the most part, both these teams are just all in on team fight. And all that means we're going to have a banger game one here tonight.
Yeah, it's a great way to get the energy up, first of a 5-game series. The only question is, this is going to be draining for the players. Fighting all the time takes a lot out of you mentally. Is this necessarily a smart choice from the coaches to go this hard this early when you know you have to last for as many as 5 full games, especially this Bloom squad that, if memory serves, did reverse sweep in the past couple of weeks?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So I feel like on the one hand, it's very much a boomer bust mentality where it's like if you can come in with this aggressive team fighting, front to back style and you can win out with it, it puts you in such a big advantage because you're telling the enemy team, we just straight up team fight better than you do. So whoever comes out of this game one with an advantage, it is a huge mental advantage as well because the other team has to recognize we either have to significantly win in draft to give ourselves a major advantage because both of these team fights look relatively even from kind of an initial look at it, very much how well they can execute on their ultimates and their abilities and their DPS, and with the Jinx getting resets. And so I'm very much excited to see because, whichever team wins this, the other team is most likely going to have to either double down and say, we dropped the ball and tell your players to just play better, or you're going to have to pivot play styles altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, speaking of playstyles, I want to circle back to these specific team fights from these teams because I feel like a lot more rests on Bloom's execution than Dorado's. Dorado's team fight is very straightforward. It's toss the Maokai ult out, let Victor go to town, let Jinx free fire from the backline with Mordekaiser and Alistair providing fuel. You don't have any crazy ultimates that are super hard to hit. You don't have anything that you really need to play around. Whereas Bloom, yeah, they've got the Ornhorn that's super easy to work with as long as you can hit your second R charge. But you're reliant on this Orianna to get shockwaves off. You're reliant on the Ashe to get those enchanted crystal arrows. You're reliant on the Renata Glass to get good handshakes and hostile takeovers out. How concerned are you about the extra difficulty in execution that Bloom has drafted, even if the theoretical team fight here remains so strong?
I'm on the one hand, yes, it is very skill dependent, but on the other hand, look at their jungler. They have a Nocturne who can just look at that Jinx or look at the Victor, put up that barrier to prevent the Alistair from knocking him away, and just say, hey, look, I'm going to deliver this ball directly onto your carries. And it all comes down to whether this Orianna can be close enough that the ball doesn't reset and blink back on top of her and we see a sombrero ultimate. So can the Orianna play aggressive enough? And then there's also the Nocturne has that paranoia. So the rest of the supports and the tanks and stuff that are supposed to keep your carry safe, if they're not close enough to peel that Nocturne shockwave combo off, that could just win a fight there with just two presses of the R key.
Very fair. That's definitely possible for Bloom to manage to take that on. Now, overall, all of these players have been playing very well all season, but is there anyone that you think absolutely needs to stand out this game?
Who really needs to stand out? I think it's going to come down to both of these mid laners. Mid lane is what, you've got so much control with these mid laners, and the mid laners are going to facilitate the junglers to get around into the map, especially how you're seeing the Orianna into the Victor. Whoever can come out with the lead in this matchup, I believe, is going to be the one who's going to really come away with this, unless we see, somehow like a Jinx Alistair gets some crazy pick onto the Ashe, or something happens top lane and the Mordekaiser just Ornn lane goes massively wrong. I think it really comes down to how can the Victor and the Orianna manipulate their waves, set up their junglers for invades to get prio on objectives, and put their team around 20-25 minutes with a decent enough gold or objective lead that it becomes monumental as the team fights progress.
Well, there's certainly a lot for us to keep an eye on here. Certainly a lot of fun to be had. But Sharpie, I think I speak for both us and all of Twitch chat when I say I think we're about ready for the action. So folks, I think we will step aside for just a couple of minutes here, load into spectator delay, make sure none of these teams are cheating, not that we think you would. But when we come back, Dorado, Gamma, Bloom, Lotus looking to take game 1 here and punch their ticket. On to the Rift we go. Dorado, Mew, Bloom, Lotus looking to snag game 1 here. No shenanigans to be had here, Sharpie. Both teams just looking for a 5-point. Perhaps not surprising given what they drafted, but I always love those level 1 shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, 5-point is usually going to be your safest bet. Both teams are kind of looking to prevent because, the Maokai and this Mordekaiser have a decent ability to step up and get some vision on that red buff. And they're going to look for that now. No, they're going to reward the KFC out there, and it's going to be swept out. So nice little trade there. They get some vision, and Orianna gets some gold. But yeah, just pretty standard 5-point, like you're saying. And unfortunately, no shenanigans rather this time. But I'm very hopeful that in some future games, as the series progresses, we will see some shenanigans in the future.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, we've got junglers on a split start here. Split Breed looking to clear from that red buff all the way up. Loveless mirroring him from the red buff down. That means that SWBF and Memer Sticks are going to have to be a little bit careful here around that level 3 point. Lest Loveless try and do something, but by the same token, it's a Nocturne. He'll probably want to wait till 6.
Yeah, the Nocturne is most likely going to want to just do that kind of full clear, maybe hover for a little bit to keep an eye on the Maokai and make sure no, silly level 2s or level 3s go out, which, the Maokai could do a level 2 bot side if he really wanted to, but for the most part, probably just seeing a pretty safe scaling jungle matchup here as the Victor, as we saw there, had a nice little trade there onto the Orianna, so a bit of an advantage over to OG Kush, but have to see how this level 2 plays out. Nothing particularly interesting there either.
Yeah, Victor perhaps one of the most unfortunate matchups for this Orianna. One of the few champions in this mid lane that can match the range of the ball so early on into the game. And it means that Jacobri's been pushed in very hard and will have to maintain their pressure without the advantage of health pots here.
Yeah, Oriana, yeah, you're right. Did use both health pots there, but then again, so has Victor. And Oriana, it looks like, has the biscuit, so might actually end up being a land advantage as another Death Ray, I think it's called, goes out there from the Victor and lands onto the Lady of Clockwork in the mid lane.
Yeah,
So great
Jacobri.
trades here from OG Kush.
Yeah, Jacobri down under 200. I mean, that's almost in kill threat for OG if he rotates through a QE here. So this is very dangerous for Jacobri and will likely force out an unfortunate early back TP.
Yeah, it's not what you want to see. I want to see yeah, that's a nice, great trade there. Almost, you almost are in flash range to just flash execute there with that second empowered Q. But you want to see the Nocturne is, ultimately it's going to pay out okay, but Nocturne probably could have taken a bit of time to hover there and give the Oriana some breathing room. But, at the end of the day, no harm, no foul. Oriana is actually going to be able to stick around and catch another wave as Victor goes back, gets a fat Sapphire Crystal, and teleports back into the lane.
Victor choosing to take the TP back there despite having forced the advantage in lane kind of weakens the advantage built up with that pressure. So interesting to see. Yeah, of course, the Victor going to be scaling anyway, wants to hit those chaos stacks on the passive to really become powerful, needs that first upgrade to be a real threat in team fights. But I'm surprised they didn't just go ahead, keep that TP in the back pocket and walk back to lane here.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with the decision there to teleport. It could be because Oriana canceled the recall, excuse me, and was hard pushing the wave, but you know, definitely losing a bit of that early lane advantage that the Victor had built up for themselves there.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about this mid lane, but that's partially because nothing else of interest has happened on the map. Both junglers have been fully content to farm here. Nineline Klein and Zyke in the top side are playing those bruisers and tanks. They're just going to be wailing on each other with no end in sight. And in bot lane, Memer6 has gotten a couple of headbutt pulverizes, but nothing to write home about, nothing that SWBF has been able to follow up on. So really mid lane's about all that we can talk about here. Is now after that first back has come through, OG Kush is the one starting to lose these trades pretty hard.
Yeah, Oriana elected to go and pick up a refillable potion as well as a null magic mantle to get a bit of extra MRs. We might
Oh,
see a bit of a look here.
Jacobri.
Maokai's dashing in. Has uses the flash, is going to use the knockback. Jacobri's going to be in a lot of trouble here. You want to give this kill over to Victor if you can, and you do. First blood over to the Victor.
That was really smart from Splitbreed as well. Use the flash to make the twisted advance instant, which meant that Jacobri couldn't flash away, drag that Maokai away from his support. That's not something that you normally see because you want to hit that twisted advance at the edge of its range to give them the least amount of time to react. But great adaptation on their feet there from Splitbreed, and it Bloom is actually going to contest this Drake. This is aggressive here from them, but they've got Splitbreed caught out. This could be very dangerous.
The Dragon's down to 1200 health. Maokai is going to drop, and that's going to mean Loveless most likely will pick it unless it's a steal from the Jinx over the wall. But no, it is actually secured by Scoobs, so it could have been stolen as Loveless elected not to use the smite. But Maokai, you get the kill mid lane and you rotate down for Dragon, but the Alistair hopped up into the Dragon pit for a second, then for some reason just walked back to lane, allowing the Ashe and Renata to walk right up into the Dragon pit with the Nocturne and just get a free kill on this flashless Maokai.
A little bit of a weird read from Dorado, especially because SWBF seemed to have sniffed out the issue and had already walked away by the time the entirety of Bloom collapsed in. I don't know if you noticed that on the map, but SWBF was down in Tribush there. So it feels like a little bit of a lack of communication from this Dorado squad. They're not all on the same page, and making mistakes like that, especially as the series goes on, is only going to get more and more painful.
Yeah, I mean, it's early on in the series, so it could just be some early on jitters or a bit of a miscommunication, but you definitely need to shore those up because that little miscommunication there costed you an early dragon, and it completely upset that little bit of an advantage that you were trying to build off of that kill mid lane.
Yeah. Speaking of advantages, though, perhaps part of the reason that pressure in bot lane was so Bloom-sided was because SWBF and Memer6 are starting to lose pretty heavily. Scoobs and Cloudberry have grown about a 10 CS lead that they've been holding pretty consistently for the past couple of minutes here. And I think the pressure in this lane is starting to lean towards the poke here pretty strongly.
I've got a bit of a pause here. Just want to make sure. Yeah, we're all stuck on a pause, so we're gonna have a bit of a time, bit of a moment, I think, to just kind of take a look and see. Never mind, we're right back into the action. Brilliant. So, but yeah, like you're saying, a 10 CS lead has been built up for Scoobs and Cloudberry, which is a nice advantage that you want to see because the Ash Renata is eventually going to get outscaled by the damage and just team fight scalability as we see the Realm of Death come out as the Q is going to miss. Ornn is going to have to try to walk away from this. This Death Realm is still active and now has finally been disabled as Zeke is going to have to probably use the flash, but Ninecline can just follow it. And they're both going to flash each other as we had a bit of a lag there. So it's a double flash. It does end up actually dodging that last Q from Ninecline, and Ornn is going to survive. Well played to Zeke.
Yeah, it's a good attempt at an engage by Ninecline. You might as well go in while you have that level 6 strength before Ornn starts to get too tanky here, starts to be able to spend this gold that he's built up. But now we see some
Nocturne Shockwave combo. Yeah. But the Victor W is actually going to stun up the Nocturne, and then, Maokai's going to use the Nature's Grasp just to make sure that the extension doesn't go any further. No further pushing onto the play. Both mid laners down around 300 health. Jinx Rocket is not going to land because Nocturne was in the way, but that could have been a kill there onto Chakobri. Oh, a nice aimed Super Mega Death Rocket by SWBF.
Yeah, this feels really bad for Bloom, though. One of the things with Nocturne that you really need to focus on is the utility of that first ultimate. You have to get something out for your team when you hit that level 6 point. And for Loveless and Chakobri, yeah, they hit the combo. They did everything they needed to do, but they didn't have enough damage because those chains didn't connect. OG Kush wasn't feared by the Nocturne, thanks in large part to that gravity field. And after a team fight like that, you just get so demoralized. Scoob's in trouble as well here.
Yeah, Scoob's in trouble. The Ignite has been popped. The hostile takeover was used to force the Jinx to actually turn backwards and auto the minions that were under the tower, which completely zoned SWBF off the fight. But Scoobs is down around 200-300 health. And it was a nice, a lot of these fights that we're seeing where the teams go for these engage, but they also have such good disengage, with that Nature's Grasp or with, another Super Mega Death Rocket did come out. Jinx is firing away, but Alistar was actually in a lot more trouble there because the Nocturne had come down, and that's another Nocturne getting a second kill now without ever actually using that Paranoia. So well played over to Nocturne getting these successful ganks off despite not having the ultimate available.
Yeah, and good awareness by Bloom as well to know that the Unbreakable Will had already been popped by Memersticks in the first trade. Yeah, Scoops was forced to flash there to stay alive, and Cloudberry as well, it looks like, in that particular fight. But getting kills, getting this Nocturne fed just feels good. Zyke in a little bit of trouble in the top side, stuck in the Death Realm here, and one more Decimate just takes him out.
Yeah, that's just Ninecline just looking at the matchup saying, look, I'm a Mordekaiser. I've got some good items. As here comes another Shockwave Paranoia combo, and that's going to be killing spree for this Nocturne. Whenever this Mordekaiser turns the lights off for the Ornn, Loveless comes in and says, whatever you can do, I can do better. Shuts the lights off again. That's a second Shockwave Paranoia combo that's going to land, and this time it does execute onto the Victor. Well played.
Yeah, a little bit easier when Chakobri does their job and pokes out OG Kush before the fight even starts in earnest. And this one might just lead to another Drake. This Drake stacking pretty good for Bloom. However, you can see Slippery did get the Rift Herald already in trade, so perhaps going to get some of that value back in these neutral objectives, and in fact is going to be trying to contest this Drake even.
Yeah, bot wave reset, and so that's going to allow SWBF and Memersticks to walk up onto this dragon and actually get some prio on it because Victor, despite dying, has come back, and here's Nocturne. They're looking for the play. Splitbreed has it down to 700 health. They're going to walk, and this is going to be contested. Blue team is going to get the kill. Both smite, so Loveless smited about 50 health early, and Splitbreed, I don't believe, use it as all, as Cloudberry is probably going to actually end up giving their life as well. So you lose the dragon, and you lose the kill. That's a big swing back in favor of Dorado.
Yeah, and now the gold is even, with all of the gold in Potentia of this Rift Herald still being in the pockets of Splitbreed. So this is unfortunate. This is effectively a gold deficit for Bloom, and it might just get worse as Scoob's trapped under the bot turret with Memer Sticks and Split Read behind, this is a dive just waiting to happen, but Scoops is getting
Yeah,
some
let's
good
see if
poke off here, actually.
Scoops can push it off. Here comes Jacobri on the Orianna, and that's going to force him to blast cone over that wall and get out of dodge. So well defended there by Scoops, using that spacing quite well because it's two melee tanks that aren't going to really do much damage to you, and Jinx was still trying to push the wave in. So well played, great awareness by Scoops to prevent that play from going downhill.
Yeah, the downside to all of this pressure in the bot side is that Scoops has lost their CS lead. Now just back to even with SWBF. So not as much of a point of power down here. They don't have that kind of pressure anymore now that SWBF has a little bit of golden pocket, getting close to that Kraken Slayer being completed. And Sharpie, it feels like Dorado's starting to get the momentum back in their pocket.
Yeah, momentum has been swinging back and forth a little bit, with kills going this way and that way, and we're going to have to see because Nocturne ultimate is back up, and it's just going to be busy clearing out their top side for the moment, but at any second now, because that Nocturne ultimate can get you basically from your jungle, as might be hovering for it right now. Can kind of peek at that in the minimap, is kind of hanging around there in case the Victor steps up too far. But they're actually going to use it, and that Shockwave is going to be flash. So a great flash by OG Kush as the fight continues. Orianna was completely rooted up by the Nature's Grasp, and you know what that means? Another fight. Both teams use their disengage tools, and nobody dies.
Yeah, Loveless has 3 kills, has the fully completed item already. Yeah, very far ahead of everybody else, but just doesn't seem to be able to execute here. Great combo on the bot side.
This could be a solo kill here for Jacobri. Jacobri getting a solo kill. Here comes the Maokai, going to be rotating in. Nocturne is there to protect, though. The flash comes out. Flash respawn by Jacobri. Here comes Loveless. The ultimate from the Jinx is going to land onto the Nocturne, not onto the Orianna. So once again, Nocturne is going to be body blocking for this mid laner to keep her alive.
Man, it is just chaos in these games, and I love it. I love the energy. But we've got 5 games of this. Are you sure your voice is going to be able to handle this, Sharpie?
Oh, I've got a full pack of... I don't even know what to call these cough drops, I guess, but they're going to keep my voice nice and smooth. I've got water, I've got tea, I'm ready to go, and I'm all for the action. As the Death Realm is going to be popped once again. Full combo was already used there by the Ornn, so he's not going to have much damage, and here's going to be the Call of the Forge God to try to dissuade the play from going any further. Zeke is down to 400 health, 300, that passive there from the Mordekaiser's doing an insane amount of work. Double flash is going to be responded back, and Nine Klein is going to pick up another solo kill in the top lane. That Rylai's Crystal Scepter was probably the deciding factor, not allowing that Ornn to get back under tower safely.
Well, the Rylai's, as well as the fact that Ornn missed their ultimate there, completely whiffed on the second charge of it. And, we mentioned in pregame that Ornn ultimate is pretty easy to hit, but if you miss that second charge, there's nothing you can do, especially for Zyke. They're so out of position and just out stat checked by Nine Klein. So this Mordekaiser's going to become a bit of a problem. And looking at the lineup of Bloom, I don't see anybody who can reliably match them in the side lane here.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult because, Ornn clearly is losing that matchup. Orianna, I don't think there's any way that she can deal with it either. And if you try to send your bot lane, Mordekaiser will just elect to take the 1v1 against one of them and then use the bonus stats to probably go in and kill the other. So Mordekaiser is definitely going to be a problem in this mid game, and we'll have to see how they respond if they can get some team fight wins, because Ornn in a team fight is going to still be more useful overall if you can land that ultimate.
Oh, absolutely. Going to be more useful as long as Klein doesn't get an item or two advantage here. But speaking of advantages, Zyke being forced out from under the turret as the second Rift Herald is dropped here in the top lane. Split Read able to get both of those. This will set up a counter dive in the bot side for members of Bloom down here. But the bot lane has sniffed out, so they're going to walk away as Split Read pushes in for a second charge here. They're going to try and get 2 turrets off of this Rift Herald. And they might just get Zyke as well if the Ornn isn't careful enough here.
Yeah, Ornn needs to be a little bit careful, but there's only 1 minion left, so they can't keep the push going any further. Meanwhile, so here's the situation. You trade even 1-for-1 on towers. You get a second crash, and Zeke is in trouble because Victor's rotating up, but it's an interesting kind of trade here as the Nature's Grasp is going to come out. Let's see how Ornn can respond to this. The tower is ticking even lower and lower. Split Read has actually gotten quite low, but it's an orange, so there's not too much more you can do. So ultimately, you trade a kill and 2 towers for 1 tower and the first stack of Hex Soul over to Bloom Gaming Lotus.
Yeah, I
Interesting
mean,
trade there.
yeah, it's not the worst thing for Bloom, right?
No.
You already know that top lane is losing, and Klein getting a little bit stronger than the already dominant Mordekaiser that he was fated to be isn't going to kill you. You get closer to a win condition here with both the Hextech Soul and the Elder Drake. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I don't love giving free injections of gold into the enemy team when you can avoid it. Dorado's now up about 2,000 gold. They have the tempo advantage on the top side. They've allowed 9-Line Klein to be freed from that lane. He's going to be able to break this bot turret as well, likely rotate to mid and break that if it doesn't get broken here by the push SWBF. So overall, from a macro standpoint, Dorado continues to take huge advantages that Bloom just doesn't feel like they can quite match.
Yeah, it was a great macro kind of play there. Yeah, you give up 1 dragon, but the dragons are 1 for 1 right now, so it's not really a big urgency to get another dragon, even if it is that nice Hextech Drag Soul that's on, on the radar in about 10 or 15 minutes. But it's great, like you're saying, to get all that gold injected into this Mordekaiser, who can absolutely, at this point, be a massive menace in a side lane that clearly at this point no one can respond to, especially with a Victor or a a Maokai rather, who can just rotate up whenever they want, as the mid lane is also going to be pressured and open up this jungle for just rotating back and forth wherever the Mordekaiser happens to be.
Yeah, and the other problem here for Bloom, we started with a 3-0 Nocturne at about the 9-minute mark. We are now at the 19-minute mark. Nocturne is still 3-0-0. Nocturne has not had an effect on this game after those early kills. He's
Speaking of an effect, though, there's the Paranoia Shockwave combo that's going to land onto the Jinx. Mesmer Sticks is going to have to flash away. And again, we see the Nature's Grasp is going to be used to dissuade the chase from going any further. And same with the hostile takeover, same deal, just making sure that nobody else can kill each other. It's a nice pick there, though. So as we're talking about Loveless not having any more impact, does get another assist and gives a kill over to, I believe it was the Ashe who picked that one up.
Yeah, talk about real-time caster curse there, Sharpie. I don't think I've ever seen a caster shoot themselves in the foot that quickly. So,
it was quick.
Gold star to me, I guess, for ruining Dorado's day. But
yeah, Loveless didn't even let you finish your sentence.
Yeah, good on Loveless and Jacobri for finally finding an angle again.
Arrow.
And they might find OG Kush here as well, but the Ashe Arrow misses wide.
Yeah, that was really close to being a kill there. If that Ashe Arrow landed, we would have been in trouble there. But OG Kush is going to be able to sidestep it, and we'll stay alive here in the mid lane, as Memer Sticks is clearing out some vision.
Yeah, gonna get a couple of ward score here. Nothing wrong with that. Still a little bit behind on Cloudberry, but not the end of the world. You're a melee. You're gonna suffer early. As long as you do your job in the late game, it's just fine. And you can see that right now, the vision line of Dorado is pushed fairly deeply in, especially around that Drake. So doing their job right now, making sure to keep track of Loveless, and as long as they don't lose him again, it should be a little bit harder to get those Paranoia combos off. But speaking of, that timer ticking down, just a few seconds left, so Loveless and Jacobri may be thinking about trying for, what is it, 4th time now? The same old song.
Yeah, this would be the 4th time, and now Nocturne does have that rank 2 ultimate because level 11 has been achieved by Loveless, so that means the range is going to be even longer, the cooldown is going to be even lower, and we're going to see more and more action looking for these picks on maybe side lanes, looking for picks basically wherever Jacobri is. And right now, that's where this Victor is, so if you're Victor, you really want to be careful because you're isolated, and Nocturne, has the ultimate backup.
Yeah, however, it's pretty okay if you're Kush here to remain up in the top side, because every moment that you stay up here is a moment that Loveless isn't prepping for this Drake. And you traded a lot of pressure in that top side to get closer to this Drake win condition, so you absolutely need to be focusing on that here with 20 seconds until it spawns, though Dorado Mew has full control of that bot side river.
Yeah, we might want to be careful here because a fight could break out at any moment. The dragon is spawning in about 10 seconds. Teleport is going to be used by Jacobri to get back into the fight to contest this because, like you're saying, Bloom Lotus definitely wants to get to Soul Point here. We'll have to see how well Dorado can fend them off. There was a nice little chunk of damage is going to go onto the Nocturne, and that's probably going to mean Dragon's going over.
Yeah, Ornn separated from the team here. They don't really have a way to pincer in, although the Ornhorn coming down. Zyke wants this for some reason. The rest of the team, though, not in sync with them. They're going to go for that mid-outer and just scramble away. So we saw some misplays from Dorado Muse shot calling, and now it's Bloom's turn to have a misfire.
You know, I don't know if it was actually a misfire. I feel like it was just Zeke throwing a Hail Mary, lining up the edge of the Call of the Forge God to land right on that dragon to see if you could catch them mismiting. That's what I feel like it was, but, you know, you never know. So it could have been a misfire. It could have been big brain gaming by Zeke. Hard to say.
Either way, the resets from Bloom do result in a match of that mid-tier 1. So all that vision opened up is 9line Klein just butchering the bot side here. Zyke with no ultimate, no threat to the Mordekaiser. I mean, it just feels bad as the tank player to have to sit through this, man.
It does. Yeah, and Mordekaiser has completed that Rift Maker as well, so it's 2 items compared to just 1 for the Ornn at the moment, who hasn't even completed a Mythic yet, so can't even give themselves that ornament on their own item just yet, because level 13 obviously is where that first one comes in, correct?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Getting there, though. We'll find it now. But he doesn't have an item available for it. Went for the Abyssal Mask first to try and counter, rather, 9line Klein, but that means he's further away from any item that will actually be able to be upgraded. So that's 1,000 gold in Potentia in stats that Zyke's not going to be able to access for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, is it Zeke or is it Zyke?
We've bounced back and forth throughout the season, so
okay, maybe I'll have to ask them in chat in between game 1 and game 2 which one to go with, because I don't want to be saying the wrong thing. I've been going with Zeke, but it could be Zyke now that you said that. We'll have to find out. But...
yeah, we'll figure that one out between games. But in the meantime here, Dorado, with the pressure advantages that they've created, yeah, the gold's only 1,300, 1,400 apart. But Dorado has full control over this Drake pit. They have full control over the bot side as well, with 9line pushed up so deep. So Bloom fighting from the back foot here, trying to regain control of these neutral objectives before this game spirals too far.
Yeah, need to get control of the neutrals. I mean, we've been sitting here for about 10 minutes now with Dorado at a 2,000 gold lead. Yeah, they did use that to pick up some extra dragons. I mean, to pick up an extra dragon, rather, to pick up a few towers, but that gold lead has not expanded, and that might be cause for concerns because the teamfight power of a Renata, an Orianna, an Ornn is just so potent as this game progresses, especially as those ornaments come in. As maybe I'm seeing someone saying maybe it's Zyke.
Yeah.
Is it Zyke?
Yeah, Zyke is what I've mostly gone with here, but again, we'll confirm it between games. So
we'll have to figure it out. As Loveless is looking for a bit of that's a nice Ash Arrow, but it was beautifully tunneled away from by Split Breeze, so it's going to stay alive for now. The Nature Scarf's going to pop up. Loveless is going to get rooted up there by that Gravity Well, I think it's called. I forgot what it's called. A nice flash. Shockwave Pulverize is going to land to Scoops. We're going to take a peek back in the top wave. Shockwave is going to land there onto 9line, as I believe that is Jacobri stuck there in the Death Realm with the Mordekaiser, who they're both going to elect to just not take that trade any further as the fight is going to continue here. Loveless might be looking for an angle, still has that Paranoia available. Let's see if they look for anything. I think that's just going to be the end of the play for there. So very tedious fight, a lot of more abilities used, but ultimately, again, nobody dies.
Yeah, very strange fight as well, because you feel like for Split Breed, you have to die there. This is not a very tanky Maokai. It's the Radiant Virtue and a Demonic Embrace. Bloom has to be able to cut through Split Breed if they're going to be able to cut through 9line Klein or Memer Sticks in these fights. But they can't. With 4 members, they can't manage to cut through, and Split Breed buys enough time for everybody else on Dorado to get there. And then on
Mhm.
the other side of the fight, Nine-Line Klein is able to not only zone away 4 members at once, but make them scared of him. They're forced to use flashes and ultimates defensively to get away from a 1v4. While the rest of Dorado is free to chase away Scoobs, force the flash out, force the ghost out. Bloom, they can't have such mishmash fights as this. They need to be able to force advantages, whether that's by taking out Dorado members or by just finding more advantageous fights, isolating Nine-Line Klein more. And they're trying now. Zyke's looking for an ultimate, but he can't find it.
Yeah, Call of the Forge God was used, followed up by the Nature's Grab. Zyke is in a lot of trouble, has to dash back out. Paranoia has been used. The Shockwave is going to be zoned by OG Kush, so well played there. Death Ram is going to pop out and get the Nocturne. Going to be killed the right way. The chase is continuing. Double flash, triple flash. OG Kush using that ultimate, ticking down. Cloudberry is dead. Zyke is dead. That is a 3-0. Dorado Gaming going to have a huge advantage. Baron is almost guaranteed to be theirs. And followed up by that, most likely a dragon as well to put them on Soul Point. What a fight from Dorado.
Yeah, great job by Dorado, and a bit of a whoopsie by Bloom. Yeah, Zyke was looking for an angle and thought he may have had it there with the Call of the Forge God over the top, but only found SWBF and then found himself in no man's land. And against a Jinx, when you can be that first reset, that's such a dangerous place to be. Good on Zyke for getting out of there, but then after he'd escaped, it was Loveless and Jacoby's turn to go all the way in all alone. And Loveless, not nearly as tanky as the Ornn, didn't have any way out. Once Jinx starts getting resets, it's so hard to wrest control back of the team fight, or wrest control of the team fight back from her. And you lose 3 members, you lose both neutral objectives, and now the gold difference suddenly 5k, and Bloom has to find mistakes from Dorado, but they're making the mistakes here.
That is a huge hostile takeover. They're onto all 5, so a huge hostile takeover from Cloudberry. This could be enough to turn the fight, even though the Nocturne has been dropped. The Call of the Forge God is going to be ulted away by Nine-Line, so Nine-Line is going to be able to take that 1v1 with Zeke as the fight. So far, they're kind of stalling it out. Nothing really happening so far. Zeke is going to be, or Zyke rather, is going to go down as well. So SWBF picking off another kill. Another 2-0. Dragon secured, Baron in their pockets. This is Dorado's game to lose at this point. They're up 6k.
Yeah, boy, Sharpie, it never rains, but it pours. It was 5-5 just 2 minutes ago. This goal difference was negligible. And now, suddenly, 5 kills unanswered here from Dorado. 2 neutral objectives. They're pushing in. They're going to almost certainly get this mid inhibitor before the pressure is stopped. And Bloom, with this team comp that relies on execution here, when they're so far behind in pressure, they're not going to be gifted the opportunities to even show that they're capable of that execution anymore.
Yeah, Dorado is just, at this point, they're trying to run away with it. Yeah, the game had stalled for a while. Nothing too much had happened, but, you know, you're at Soul Point now. You've got Baron. You've got an increasing gold lead up to, what is it, up to 6k, closing in on 7k. Inhibitor in the mid lane is exposed. Jinx now has an Infinity Edge, has that Kraken Slayer, has a stopwatch in inventory as well. So it's going to be really difficult to kill off this carry, who is going to be dealing a lot of damage at this point. It's going to take a lot of clutch factor at this point for, I believe, for Bloom to even have a chance of coming back into this game, because it's getting pretty tedious, and Jinx and this Mordekaiser as well have just been running away with these team fights.
Yeah, and for all the pressure that Bloom put onto OG Kush in the early game, with the constant ultimate shockwave from this Loveless Jacoby combo, it doesn't matter. OG Kush is still 4-2-2, not meaningfully behind this Orianna, maybe a fraction of an item at most, but still far more relevant in these team fights, doing far more to control the game. The shockwave's just not really hitting from Jacoby, so you have to wonder if Bloom's going to make that same pressure decision again, if they're going to focus on Jacoby in games 2 and onward.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if they pivot, but then again, those ornaments are coming in, which means more and more damage are gonna come down. That gold difference is gonna mean less and less. And, you know, we'll have to see how it plays out, because at the end of the day, a good Paranoia Shockwave combo can completely turn this game around.
I don't know that it can anymore, Sharpie, because the only target that they have is SWBF, but they have the cleanse. They have so many strong members around them to make sure that they're not under serious threat, that even if you get the perfect combo down onto this Jinx, I don't think Dorado loses the fight. I think Bloom still struggles to find victories unless they can find real odd-numbered fights here.
Loveless?
Oh, Loveless,
Yeah,
no.
Loveless is going to be able to get away for now, but that Nature's Grass has come out. Ooh, that's a nice twisted advance there by Splitbreed to negate that hostile takeover. So ultimate has been used there for the Renata, and nothing more is going to come from it at the moment. As the push though, Baron is no longer being worn, but they're still playing quite aggressively, pushing forward. Mordekaiser, this Maokai, both kind of hopping around through Bloom Lotus's jungle, stealing away camps and starving out this Nocturne and not allowing them to get any more levels. As I'm just taking a peek at it, Nocturne is level 13 and Splitbreed on the Maokai level 16. What a massive jungle difference right now.
Yeah, this feels awful if you're Loveless. You had the early advantages. You had the opportunity to become the threat that your team needed. And instead now you're 3 levels down, 2 levels down on a tank jungler. You're down over 2,000 gold. And you don't even have the pressure to be able to walk up here and try and threaten the sole point. As Splitbreed a little bit caught out here.
Yeah, Splitbreed was caught by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but it's Splitbreed, so it's going to be a tank. There's the nice Paranoia Shockwave combo, but like you said, it's just not quite enough. As Nineclan with a nice double pull is going to throw that Ashe into the Death Realm. Zyke is getting really low. Super Mega Death Rocket is going to get a double kill and also land some passive damage there onto the Orianna, who's trying to teleport away, but Twisted Advance is going to say no way. Jacobri is going to drop. Triple kill over to SWBF on the Jinx. OG Kush has teleported up into the top lane, is clearing out this inhibitor, and I believe this is going to be game 1 in favor of Dorado.
Yeah, here's the problem with that Paranoia Shockwave combo. The only way you win this fight is if you find SWF and OG Kush at the same time. OG Kush was half a screen away from the Nocturne where he targeted with that Paranoia. It was impossible for Bloom to ever win given the way their team comp needed to go. And that left them high and dry. They didn't get a kill after the 12-minute mark or so here, Sharpie. And with how Dorado is just pressuring forward and feels like they have so much control here, I'm not so sure that Bloom's going to get a kill for the rest of the match.
Yeah, it was a dominant showing once they got that Baron. They played it so cleanly, taking dragons, playing with pressure, continuously pushing forward, using those ultimates well to engage and disengage and play that kind of bounce back and forth game. It's like, we've got a good gold lead. One more good team fight wins us the game. If we don't see exactly what we want, there's no rush because Dragon Soul is coming and they're going to have to come into us anyways because we will almost guarantee to have Prio onto the objective. So just bide your time, wait for the perfect moment. And yes, you got a nice Shockwave Paranoia combo, but you're down 9k gold. It's just not enough. And they take the fight from there and close it out.
Yeah. Now for Bloom, it's a moment that they're going to have to sit here and reflect. What went wrong in that game? They gave themselves too many things that they had to execute on. They gave themselves too many what if we situations and not enough we will always situations. So I'm going to be expecting here from Bloom a much simpler to execute team comp. No real coordination needed, no real crazy plays that need to happen, just a simple press button win fight kind of comp.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they pivot here because, yeah, you kind of already had a press R to win the game comp, but it was a bit more of a press R to win the pick comp. So kind of a bit of a contrast of identities between like this Orianna Nocturne combo versus, you know, that Renata and that Ornn, who were just so much about that 5v5. So we'll have to see how they pivot. Also, there's that worry that Mordekaiser was just oppressive the entire game, and there was nothing they could really do about it. They didn't even try, it felt like, because by the time, you know, that Mordekaiser hits level 6, Nocturne doesn't win that 1v1, nor does the Ornn. And yeah, they took a few of those nice trades, and Nocturne, the Ornn was able to walk away from that first Death Realm that Mordekaiser threw down, but it was all downhill from there. So this top lane, they need to address the issue because nine. I forget what is the name. It's nine something.
9-line Klein.
9-line Klein. That's right. 9-line Klein just ran away with that top side.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Sharpie, I think there's a lot for Bloom to consider here as they move into the next couple of games, and a lot for them to clean up. But they have plenty of time to do so because this is a best of 5, which means that we should be hurrying into game number 2. So, folks, we're going to send it to a short break here while these teams get into the lobby, but we're not going to be long because they're going to want to get draft number 2 started. So don't change the channel, don't click away. We'll be right back. Well, a short break indeed, folks. We are back. The sides have been switched. Bloom Lotus on blue, Dorado Mew on red, and no time wasted in getting these bans out here, Sharpie. Similar bans to what we saw in game one here. No major changes so far.
Yeah, no pivots at the moment. We'll have to see if maybe we see a change like a Hecarim ban. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sorry, not a Hecarim, a Mordekaiser ban, because it was quite oppressive. We'll have to see if that's something they look for. But like you're saying, nothing too much out of the ordinary, and we're excited to see how Bloom will pivot their strategy as we see a Jinx ban. So that is going to be a change in strategies right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm very curious what they're going to prioritize here with B1 if they're banning away the Jinx. Because Jinx is so powerful, definitely a champion that a lot of teams want to have in their pocket rather than banning it away. So this means they must have something very high priority that they want to take off the table with this B1 pick. And I'm racking my brain trying to think of what is more influential to the draft than the Jinx here.
I think it might be Maokai. Yep, there it is. It's going to be the Maokai. So they saw how impactful the Maokai was there in game one, how it just ran away with the game, had a CS lead, had an XP lead, had just more facility and facilitation and ability to impact team fights, and said, we want that on our team. Let's get the Jinx away so they can't pick it R1, R2, and just lock ourselves in the Twisted Treant is what he's called, I believe. And so Maokai first pick for Bloom, and I like it.
Yeah, this does leave Dog open to another very safe bot lane that's going to scale up very well as the Ziggs is picked up immediately. Plenty of supports that work well with this, but regardless, Ziggs such a good counter to modern ADCs because he can poke away so freely, because he can push so well. And they're going with another pusher here with the Trundle. That Frozen Domain just shreds through turrets here.
It does. We'll have to see if they drop it in the top lane or if they use it as a jungler to kind of counter the Maokai, because Trundle, I'm almost certain, just wins that 1v1 straight up at any point in the game. So that would free Trundle to just be invading 24/7 onto this tree and say, you've got a tree, I've got a hammer. It's not an axe, but it still does damage. And see how it goes. As we're going to see the Maokai Orianna combo. So we're going to have Bloom picking that Orianna once again. And you have another basically guaranteed ball delivery system there with that Twisted Advance for the Maokai. So kind of the same concept going on so far from game one. It's just Maokai is a lot more team fight presence. And then the Sivir is a great pick here as well.
Yeah, I don't know how I love this from Bloom because the Victor is still up. Because of the fact that OG Kush won the 1v1 so hard in the early game, and it required Loveless to spend gank after gank after gank getting Jacoby back in the game, and it didn't even matter, right? It wasn't relevant, the fact that Orianna had a little bit of a lead coming out of laning phase. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dorado just picked the Victor, but instead they're going for the Ashe here. Could be a ADC with Ziggs in the mid lane, could be support Ashe here into the Sivir to help poke away at that spell shield. But either way, I feel like Bloom Lotus has to play it safe, has to ban away that Victor here so that they don't run into the same mid lane issues they did in game one.
Yeah, but then you also have to think about that top lane matchup. You had to ban, you banned away two top laners. In the last game, it was the Camille and the Olaf. And now you have the Mordekaiser to contend with. So there's a lot that you have to worry about regarding if, because they've got R5. They can just save top lane and counterpick again. And then we're going to see the Mordekaiser taken away right away. Maybe we see another one of these top lane carries like the Camille, like the Olaf gone, because that's another concern. Like we were saying, it could just happen again.
Yeah, too many power points on Dorado Mew. It's the hallmark of the Dorado teams the world over, of course. Just strong everywhere, but this Mew team exemplifies it so much. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Oran Band coming out. Despite the loss, Zyke looked comfortable on it, but instead, they're going to take away the Rakan. No match for that with the Sivir here. Speaking of the Sivir, that's a bit of a weird one. That's not something that we see a whole lot in recent patches. I mean, yeah, she's not weak by any stretch of the imagination, but it feels like there are more valuable ADCs. Be that the Jinx, the Xayah, the Senna. So many options here. To go with Sivir, this has to be a personal preference for Scoobs, right?
I feel like it could be. It could also be you're looking at a Ziggs Trundle, so there isn't really a lot of like backline lockdown or worry to be concerned about, as they're going to lock into Thresh. So it's confirmed Ziggs mid lane into the Orianna. It's going to be an Ashe Thresh into a Sivir and whatever support it may be. If even it could be a Maokai if they really want to go for it. But we'll have to see like how it plays out, because I guess you now have the Thresh who has a bit of backline threat, but she can just spell shield that. And Sivir is going to be mostly, I feel, uncontested in these fights, just free to throw out that. We looked it up in the BOL Gold. It's called her Bejeweled Crossblade, is what her weapon is called. So she's free to just be throwing those out whenever she wants and be shredding through these fights, because again, it's another 5v5 kind of team fight comp that both sides are looking for, as Aatrox is going to be locked in, doubling down on that even more. And I love this Braum pick as well, to block out those Thresh hooks, block out those Ashe arrows, block out those Ziggs bombs and trying to fly into the back line. It's a great overall pick.
Does very well with the Sivir auto attack reset as well, because you can hop in or use that Winter's Bite to get the stacks rather, or not packs of the passive, it's stacks of the passive, and get some stuns down onto this Ashe early on, but doesn't necessarily offer as much teamfight zoning unless that Glacial Fissure lands very well. And you're not going to be able to stop a Malphite hurtling in at Mach 5 here. So Sivir and Orianna are going to have to stand very far apart for this Bloom squad. It's also a very safe pick into Zyk's Aatrox as well. Plenty of armor, plenty of ability to stand up here. And I worry that we're looking to see a lot of the same things we saw in Game 1. Lanes from Dorado that should have the capacity to go even or dominate here, and Bloom reliant on execution in these team fights to a degree that Dorado isn't necessarily, especially with the unstoppable force from Malphite.
Yeah, Malphite is a definite game changer. Screw everything I said about Sivir and Orianna being safe. Malphite completely negates that. Now, there's a small part of me that hopes that 9 lives is just the ultimate Giga Chad and goes full AP Malphite. That would be hilarious. I would love it, but that's most likely not going to happen. I would do it, but I'm not playing, so
here's
for a reason.
Here's the thing. If you play it right, full tank armor Malphite does just as much damage as AP Malphite, but doesn't die once he's in. So there's no reason here, unless Orianna gets fed, to go anything other than full armor stack the whole way through.
Yeah, Orianna Maokai getting really fed would be the only problem for this Malphite. Otherwise, you're set in these team fights. There's nothing they can really do about you, and you have so much engaged potential to set up this Ashe, this Ziggs, to line up this DPS, although I'm still a little bit worried about the DPS of Ashe Ziggs versus a Sivir Orianna, especially if Sivir can spell shield or flash that unstoppable force from Malphite. Aatrox is going to be a big problem in this team fight. Aatrox is going to run through you. I fear Braum passive, especially if that Braum passive can get onto someone, especially if Aatrox can start resetting. These team fights are so explosive, particularly for Bloom Lotus. So I feel like a lot of the onus is in their hands to execute well, whereas for Dorado, it's more about just same thing, very simple to execute. Just start throwing out those abilities. Malphite ultimates hard to miss. Ziggs ultimate hard to miss. It's so big. Ashe ultimate just kind of point and shoot. Trundle just run at them, Thresh just run at them, and it's very simple execution, whereas Bloom has a lot more, tools and need to outplay their opponent. So I like Bloom's team comp this time a lot more than in game 1. So we'll have to see how it plays out, because they did show signs of life in that first game, and this game could go either way.
Yeah, signs of life, but a rough last half of that game. So we're going to have to see what kind of mental reset Bloom managed to have between game 1 and game 2. And Sharpie, one of the things that really helps with mental reset is a good coach. So I'm curious to see if Bloom worked with one of our sponsors, Coachify.gg. They're a great platform to allow you and coaches to freely connect with each other with no overhead, no charges, no commissions. It's super easy, super great. They've got great coaches, positional coaches, drafting coaches, team coaches, whatever you want to find, they have the coach for you. And we at Blue Otter League make it super easy to sign up. You don't even have to leave this show, all you got to do, go into the chat, type !Coachify. You can sign up, make a free account, get some great coaching like Bloom probably did between these games. But in the meantime, well, all the fine folks in Twitch chat are signing up for their shiny new Coachify accounts, courtesy of Blue Otter League. Sharpie, I think it's time for us to step aside.
Yeah, step aside, get a breather, get some water, whatever you need to do, because game 2 is going to be a banger. We're going to see shockwaves, we're going to see unstoppable forces, and we're just going to see hooks, bombs, trees flying all over the place. It's going to be a banger.
We return to the Rift now. Bloom on the blue side, Dorado Mew on the red. We have a hook champ here, Sharpie, but no shenanigans to start game 2.
Yeah, a little unfortunate. I wanted to see a Thresh engage, but then again, you know, Braum is such a strong level 1 character as well that if that dive even goes, or that invade rather, even goes slightly awry, Braum will just completely turn it over with those concussive blow stacks and just prevent you from, being able to do anything. And potentially even giving up your life. So, we'll have to see how it goes. If we see a nice little trade of Qs there between different top lane and junglers, just having a little bit of fun. And it's League of Legends. It's game 2 of semifinals, and they're just just letting each other know that they're there, and it's a good time.
Yeah, Splitbreed is not winning these trades. Loveless able to
No.
get some good chunk out of him with those Bramble Smashes, and thanks to the natural jungler health and mana regen, feeling pretty A-okay as he starts his clear.
Yep, Maokai is going to be just fine. Trundle should be just fine. Has a slight disadvantage, but it's not going to mean too much. Has popped that health potion pretty early, though. So, interesting choice there from Splitbreed, but nevertheless, pretty standard. Both sides starting topside this time. So it looks like both of these teams are electing that to decide that, hey, this bot lane, you've got the Braum, you've got the Thresh. There's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of snowballing potential here in this bot side. And we want to see this. We want to give our bot sides as big an advantage as we can. As taking a look at the minimap, Trundle is being very aggressive with that pathing.
Yeah, running buff to buff here as OG Kush getting some good pressure here in the mid lane. Might just get it with the auto attack and first blood in the mid lane in the 1v1.
Yeah, OG Kush played that very well. Got that level 2 popped, instantly throws out that group of bombs there, throws out that last... I'm going to hover over him really quick just so I can remember what they're called. Throws out the bouncing bomb, throws out the Hexplosive minefield to slow down Jacobri. Used the flash, but it's not enough, and goes down. So a great 1v1 by OG Kush. Meanwhile, a hook landed. Concussive blow is going to land there as well. It's a Memer sticks, but here Splitbreed throws on that pillar. Scoob's having to flash away. Exhaust going to go down his SP at WF. Trundle going to be flashing forward. Cloudberry getting really low, and Splitbreed going to take down a kill there. Another hook is going to land, so another hook. Flay is going to go down. Memer sticks will survive with literally 11 health. What a nice dive here, and that is a huge advantage. 3-0 on the kill score, over 1,000 gold lead to Dorado, and we're just 3 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and the Dorado kill streak just expands here, Sharpie. It is now 12 unanswered kills over the last 2 games for Dorado. And Bloom, I mean, they tried everything. They had Cloudberry getting all their stacks. They had Scoobs going back in trying to find Memer Sticks. I mean, Memer Sticks felt like he inted for that last one there, going deep into the turret, but apparently he's got a calculator in his head because that was absolutely perfect. And great timing by Splitbreed as well. Knew that he had everything and might find Jacobri here as well.
And Jacobri doesn't have the flash. The knockback from that bomb is going to land, and Jacobri, though, is just a bit too tanky. OG Kush hasn't reset yet, so it's a nice chunk of damage onto this Orianna, who's going to be close to kill potential at this point. Has to use both of those refillable pots. Has already used the teleport as well, so this is going to be... We talked about it a bit in the first game where OG Kush kind of fumbled that early game advantage that they had, but this game is playing it out much better.
Yeah, and this is great for Splitbreed as well. You know, in game 1, Splitbreed was down pretty early as the Maokai because Nocturne had much better early ganks. As Zyke might be in trouble here. 9-line Klein just winning the trades with those auto attacks, but Splitbreed here able to get the early kill and assist, able to double scuttle, and has camps still on the map, so he'll be able to rotate through and gank freely while continuing to grow a CS. Well, he's got a slight CS deficit, but he's not far enough behind for it to matter here. This just feels real bad for Loveless. You're on a tank, but you shouldn't be... You don't want to be struggling this hard.
No, you don't want to be. And, as this matchup continues, Trundle is just going to be more and more of a problem to deal with. As Trundle, especially once they get that level 6, it's going to be so easy for them to just walk into your jungle, especially when your bot side is winning, your mid lane is winning, and we see another great trade. The explosive bomb is going to be sidestepped, but OG Kush is just playing so aggressively, did reset and pick up that lost chapter, so has a massive damage advantage as well.
Yeah, massive damage and staying power advantage, because now that both of these mid laners have burned their TPs, it's a matter of you lose the lane when you're forced to back. Jacobri, with no real mana regen to speak of, is going to have to take a bad back here, and he's going to probably lose a plate off it if OG Kush recognizes that they have the push advantage here. So this feels real bad for the Orianna, who in fact is
Mhm.
forced to take Merc Treads even. Like, this gets worse and worse and worse the longer you look at it for Jacobri.
Yeah, Jacobri's mythic power spike is going to be so delayed at this point, as Zyke is having some nice trades at this point with 9-line Klein. Has a 15 CS lead, so that's a kill's worth of gold up there and is an advantage for Zyke. So, well played in isolation to this Aatrox, but Ziggs, yeah, it's going to be nice for the Orianna to stick around and farm because you've got the Merc Treads, but you're just not going to have any impact in team fights for quite a while. You've stunted your damage scaling so much at this point. And that's going to mean that Ziggs most likely is going to have a bit more pushing pressure as they are kind of hovering around. But no, Red Team is going to pick up the Dragon. Shockwave onto 3 is a nice Shockwave as Jacobri's going to flash away. And now they're looking for the chase. Meever6 is going to get stunned up there. Nice little bomb coming out from the Ziggs, but it's not going to be quite enough. Nope. There goes Braum. Killed. Thresh killed. Supports traded, but Dragon goes over in favor of Dorado. And guess what that means? That kill streak of unanswered kills is over because Meever6 died for it.
Yeah, finally a kill goes over, but it goes over to the tank Maokai, which isn't exactly what you want here, as OG Kush just continuing to just delete Jacobri's health here. Won't quite pick up the kill, but with no real way to respond, no real way to stick around, Jacobri's in a whole lot of danger here, and in fact, electing to stay. This just feels like you're tempting fate.
Yeah, if the Ziggs can throw out a nice satchel charge, which is up in just a few seconds, that could just end it. Yeah, jumps. Ooh, that was a fun little play. Love to see it, but it's not going to work out. I like the attempt, though, and it's going to throw up the flare to kind of let us know that, yeah, that was a fun one, but Cloudberry is going to show up here to just help keep Jacobri safe, as that was almost close there again. These bombs here from the Ziggs are just so potent.
Yeah, I'm worried that this will only get worse as the power differential between these champions continues to grow. Ziggs getting closer and closer to that first fully completed item, while Jacobri, as we mentioned previously, with the decision to go full boots, is so far behind that curve. They're going to be reliant here, is Bloom, on Zyke especially, with this lead that they have in the top side, to be the point of power for this squad and carry them through the early team fights until Jacobri can scale up and match. But Klein isn't exactly losing these trades, even with the poor CSing that they're having. So it's allowed Splitbreed to get neutral objective control here in the top side as well as in the bottom. So they're going to get first Drake and first Rift Herald here.
Yeah, as these it's Ricochet, isn't it? Yeah, as these Ricochet are popping around, Scoobs is going to get more and more push potential because Ashe just cannot match that. So push potential obviously in favor of Bloom here at the moment. And
they're looking for a dive.
Yeah, they are looking for a dive. Pink, the Vision Ward is going to come down there to spot the Loveless, and the hook's going to come out. Nature's Grab's going to land there as well onto the Thresh, who pops the ultimate. On the Hunt, going to be popped there from the Ashes, from the Sivir as well. But a nice Lantern is going to get the Ashe out alive, who has to pop the flash as well. Now Orianna teleporting back to mid lane to keep the tower from being pushed on anymore because they had used that Rift Herald, but looks like another dive is coming out there. SWBF in a lot of trouble that last stack, and again, the Maokai's going to take the kill. So a bit of trouble here. Meever6 hitting a nice hook onto Scoobs. They might be able to have a flay up any second. Bomb is going to come out. It's not going to land. It was a little bit off, but Splitbreed is here. Let's see how they can plant this fight. That is a beautiful pillar, though. Scoobs is going to drop right away to this tunnel. Loveless and Cloudberry are having to force to retreat here, but that's going to be another one down as we're taking a quick peek up at Zeke and 9-line Klein having a good time in the top side. Jacobri going to roam down to prevent them from pushing into a tower dive onto Loveless. And that is, again, a 2-0 in favor of Dorado.
Well, a 2-for-1, as SWBF did fall there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. 2-for-1. Right.
It was a valuable bait because not only did you force Jacobri to burn TP to match the Rift Herald in the mid lane so that you wouldn't lose mid to a satchel charge, you burned tons of ultimates there, tons of summoner spells, and kept them pinned between those turrets for long enough to allow Splitbreed to come down. And this Trundle is incredibly strong right now. And this isn't a bruiser Trundle. This isn't a tank Trundle. This is a lethal temple Trundle. This is a Trundle that is looking to tear your face off of your skull, and will do so effectively now that he's been fed 3 kills. So Splitbreed is in a great spot to carry this game and has a supporting cast between SWBF and OG Kush to make it incredibly easy to do so.
Yeah, that CC potential that can come out of the Ash, that can come out of this Thresh, even the satchel charges from Ziggs and the ultimate from the Malphite. There's just so much CC and lockdown potential to get this lethal tempo with a Tiamat and Sheen Trundle right into the backline to start chomping away and thumping away with that big club and really start to do some damage in these fights. So plus, they have that great option. There's a Trundle. I mean, there's rather a Maokai on the other side. So you've got a nice tank to steal some stats from, as well as a Braum. So, I like that the Maokai is pivoting a little bit to go for a bit more of that AP Maokai build. So you're not going to be quite so tanky for Trundle, but Trundle's in a great spot here.
Yeah, the problem is it's a lose-lose situation for Loveless because either you become tankier and you act as a front line for your team, but you become a target for Split Breed. Or you don't go tanky and you get torn up by Split Breed and you give stats over anyway. So there's just no winning here for Loveless unless you can manage to isolate and devalue Split Breed. And right now, with the pressure that's being put out by this Trundle, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. They are going to get a Drake here as Split Breed is busy counter jungling on the top side. So that's something for them at least, but it's just a single Hextech Drake. There's still plenty of time. There's no real scaling threat that Dorado has to worry about just yet.
Yeah, I don't know if I like this call though. I wish they would have said, hey, we've got a big lead. We're up 6 kills to 2. Mid lane tower has dropped. Ziggs got all 5 of those stacks of, those tower plates rather. So why not use this advantage to get more objectives? I don't know if a Gromp and 3 wolves are worth giving over a dragon. But I'm not Split Breed. I'm not the Trundle. So maybe who knows what I know? But I don't even know what I know half the time. But we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, Split Breed thinks he's playing Nasus. Yeah, the enemy team is taking Drake, but I want stacks. Stacks
You're
are
not
important.
getting any stacks.
No. Stacks.
Stacks. Fair enough.
Stacks.
I guess you are getting stacks off the Gustwalker hatchling thing. You're getting closer to that empowered smite. So maybe it is Big Brain by Split Breed. Maybe it just is.
Split Breed very close to that already, almost 10 stacks ahead of Loveless, which is going to make the next couple of Smite fights very easy, especially the second Rift Herald, which should be in about a minute, maybe a minute and a half here, as Split Breed has found Jacoby in transition, and even a level down is just so threatening to this Orianna.
Yeah, Split Breed has completely finished that Divine Sunderer, has the Tiamat as well. Jacoby could be in trouble. Shockwave is going to be forced out, so that's going to get Jacoby back under the tower. Meanwhile, Meebersticks could be in a bit of trouble because here comes the ultimate going to be flashed away.
Yeah, good necessary flash from Meebersticks. Feels unfortunate to have to use that, but with the Hex Flash still in pocket, won't be the end of the world. Topside has become miserable for Zyke. The early advantages now mean nothing as Nine Line Klein with that Frozen Fist just does so much. Split Breed now has found Cloudberry caught out here.
Yeah, that's a nice on the hunt being popped. Here comes the Nature's Grasp over the side of the wall. Maokai is here looking as well. Orianna, though, because of that aggression from Split Breed, does not have Shockwave. So, nothing really can come of that. It could have been a great opportunity to look for a pick because they were all grouped up, but you got caught walking through your own jungle, Jacoby, and you don't have Shockwave.
Yeah, and now this bot lane put on a back foot. Jacoby put on a back foot. Jacoby
There
might
it is
just die
again.
here. Yeah, Split Breed just running them down fearlessly here. Continues to keep the pressure on. Yeah, Bloom has broken the curse of the kills, but it feels like they're still just dying bit by bit. As Cloudberry takes another hook to the face. More damage. This bot lane poked out so hard, and they are getting no help from Loveless here, who's on the wrong side of the map.
Yep, Loveless is just hanging out on the top side. Doesn't want to let Split Breed get those camps again as Meebersticks is flashing over the wall. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. They might look for a hook because they don't know that this Thresh is hiding out in that bush. Never mind, now they're going to know. But
yeah, that plating differential just so catastrophic here, courtesy of OG Kush, as we are now looking for a fight around the
fight here.
It's 3 on 3.
Yep, it's a 3-on-3 fight. Nine-Line Clan is looking for a good angle for an ultimate. They're group dub. This could be it right there. It's down to 5,000 health, down to 4,500 health. Loveless flashing in. OG Kush flashing away as well. Aatrox is using the... there's the big Malphite ult. Flash away there from the Ziggs ult is Jacobri, so... Nah, what's going on here? Loveless is getting even lower and lower and lower. OG Kush going to pick that one up. Memer Sticks and Ashe are walking up as well. Zeke... or Zyke rather, is looking for the ult. Is going to come out there from SWBF, so that's going to be Cloudberry caught up. The Shockwave is going to be flashed away by Nine-Line Clive. And the flip side, Memer Sticks has dropped. Aatrox dropped as well, though, so this is most likely, yep, that's going to be Herald over to Dorado Gaming. Malphite actually dying there as well, so Jacobri picking up a kill trade 1-for-1 there with Nine-Line Klein.
Yeah, but overall, it's still 3 for 2, and this Trundle now starting to transition the value that they had in the early game to the other carries. OG Kush, now 3-0-1, is looking to build what looks to be a Morellonomicon next, sitting very close to that second item. Jacobri still has not completed an item. Forced to sell components here to get that Luden's Echoes, but just feels like they're completely irrelevant to the game despite having a kill and an assist here. They've just been put so far behind by the Ziggs.
Yeah, because of that early level 1, level 2 kill from OG Kush, Jacobri just put themselves so far behind having to buy those early Merc Treads. And speaking of builds, Scoob's taking that really early static Shiv. How do we feel about that?
It's not non-standard for this Sivir. It's something fairly normal to see, but it does feel bad because these team fights already so active, already really coming alive, so you don't have a lot of combat stats off of that compared to what you would get from, say, a Kraken Slayer. So Scoob's going to take a little bit longer to get online and might struggle in team fights like this where Loveless is already about to die.
Hook is going to land onto Loveless. Nature's Grasp was popped. Loveless is actually going to drop there to SWBF, so it's a 4v5 advantage. The bombs are coming onto Cloudberry, who's down to a few hundred health. Dragon down to about 3k, 2k. They might be looking for a bit of a steal. Ashe are going to come out for good measure, and Split Breed is going to secure it with a smite.
Yeah, I mean, Bloom was just forced out of that fight from the word go. Loveless getting deleted because of the choice to go the demonic first, which is, you know, fairly standard on the Maokai, but means that you don't get that tankiness. You don't get that ability to be that frontline very early on. Zyke with the World Ender, yeah, he's scary, but if you don't get into the fight, it does not matter. And now Scoobs is in trouble. It's just going to get run down here and forced to flash. That's expensive. And here comes Malphite right back in.
A beautiful parry there by Scoobs, and the Shockwave is going to land on SWBF, but still has a few hundred health left. Here comes Zyke, though. Might be looking for a kill. That's 1 Q, land on SWBF. A kill over to the Sivir as well. They might have overextended here. Split Breed getting lower and lower and lower. Zyke dropping really low is going to drop, but Sivir going to pick up a 600 gold shutdown there, so that's a nice kill over to Scoobs as well. Loveless is sticking around. Memer Sticks going to get notched back. Scoobs running out those bejeweled crossblades. The double Q is going to land, but they're going to have to walk away because that Ziggs ultimate throwing out that Mastery 7 flare. Scoobs got really low there.
Yeah, that is a bit of an overextension from Dorado. That's a 3 for 2, and that's a good pickup for Scoobs. Get some gold in pocket, is going to be able to get closer to that first meaningful item here in terms of combat potential and not just wave clear. But OG Kush still so threatening. A little bit more and Scoobs would have died there. Came so close with the Leandri's burn. That puts the Fear of God into you right there, Sharpie.
Yeah, and as this Ziggs gets more and more damage, it's just going to get worse. It's interesting. I don't know if I agree for the Oblivion Orb. I don't know what healing you're trying to negate. I guess maybe the Aatrox, but I'm going to peek at it right now. So far, it's only reduced 96 healing. So that's something I want to track to see how, you know, how good of a buy was that Oblivion Orb for OG Kush. So, but, you know, Zeke getting run down. The Ashe arrow is going to come out, but that's going to be just a trade back for Zyke, who actually elects to jump into this fight. But I don't know why you're taking that. Hook's going to land Trundle Pillar off for good measure, and SWBF picking up a free kill onto Aatrox.
Yeah, that's just a little bit of a hopeful play there from Zyke. Sure, SWBF is squishy, but not squishy enough to be that easily taken down, as Loveless getting hooked in as well. The pillar's going to be enough. Loveless just dies here.
Yep, flashing forward. Ashe is going to get another kill there despite the Nature's Grasp coming down. I like how aggressive SWBF is playing.
Yeah, great to see the Ashe completely fearless here. Knows that Memer Sticks is on their back pocket as Klein. Oh no, Jacobri in trouble here. The Unstoppable Force is available and will be
Yep, there
used.
it's going to be used. Let's see how this fight plays out. Jacobri has the shockwave. He's going to use it to pull the 9-line climb back a little bit. That's just going to ultimately be a trade of ultimates, as meanwhile, Dorado is sneaking this dragon away, and they just now saw it.
Yeah, too little too late. Teleport's coming out though, so they might be able to turn
They
here.
might
in
fight for this.
response.
It's just throwable. Memer Six is getting really low. Here comes Aatrox jumping in, 9,900 health. The Baron is going to be secured, but Memer Six is already down. Cloudberry, though, is going to trade their health back. Here comes Zyke, though, going to get the pull back there onto SWBF, but SWEF will get the kill back. Cloudberry dropped. Aatrox dropped. They looked for a contest on that Baron, but Loveless was dead and was just respawning. I don't know if that's ever worth going for. Maybe you could get a good fight there, but just so risky and so much potential for that to go wrong in a 4v5.
Yeah, the health bars for Mew were low there, so it looked like it had a good opportunity. But the problem was Bloom was so split. Cloudberry and Scoobs not remotely on the same page as Zyke. They were so separated on different sides of the river. And with a team as behind as Bloom is compared to Mew, you need to all be in the same place. You need to be fighting from the same location, especially in a numbers down fight like that. So Mew able to pull them apart, able to make a series of 1v1s and 2v2s instead of the 3v5 with low health bars that Bloom wanted it to be, meant that all of that extra combat potential from the higher health bars was meaningless. And now, with Baron on top of everything else, they're just going to be able to continue to push in here and grow what's already a solid 6,000 gold lead.
Yeah, it's a 6,000 gold lead, and it's only going to get worse because this Baron is still going to be up for a while. Splitfried might just run in here and take the tower. No, Aatrox is going to make sure that doesn't happen. Never mind. Tower does go down because the cannon was just thumping away at it. As meanwhile, mid lane, the hook, is just going to scratch Scoobs there, but not land. But that's going to still mean another tower goes down, and this is going to put us at closing in on an 8,000 gold lead.
Yep, with Drake spawning here right now, the two waves that are pushed in are very intentional for this Dorado squad because now, whenever they want, they can pull back and look to take that third Drake, look to force Soul Point here. This is another thing that Bloom needs to be careful of, especially with an Orianna on here with the Zyke, or with the Aatrox of Zyke, who has a timer on these fights. You don't need the extra shield of Mountain Soul to cut through. It makes it so hard to execute these fights. And Bloom now, the hole just keeps getting deeper and deeper. They don't have any shovels. They're trying to claw their way out, but I don't see much grip on those walls.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to claw your way out of this one. 7.5 gold lead. The difference, you're down 3 dragons to 1. Your base is gone. You haven't even taken a tower yet. It's a long uphill climb. Now, you do have a Sivir, which means theoretically, as you get more and more damage, you can just wave clear to infinity and just kind of pray that you reach 50 minutes and this game becomes winnable. As we see that on the hunt pop, it's a big 3-man out there for the Malphite, but Scoobs is unstoppable. That's another kill over to this Sivir as they're chasing forward. Shockwave going to land onto Memer Sticks. This could actually be a team wipe. SWF is going to be flashed forward by Zeke. Or Zyke, rather, and that's another kill. That's 4 dead for Dorado, as meanwhile, Splitbreed was down by themselves and is trying to split push. Zyke gonna get really low from that Leandres of Ziggs, but Splitbreed gonna take a tower there, but I don't know if that's worth it.
Yeah, a 2 for 4 and an inhibitor here for Dorado doesn't feel great. However, Scoobs dies, you don't have enough push left with Zyke turning to base to be able to get more than just this outer turret here. So it's not the end of the world for Dorado. And they actually have to be careful.
For 1v2 here.
Yeah,
here he comes. The Trundle Pillar is going to be popped up. Jacobri getting lower and lower. The Loveless is going to knock him back. Has popped that ultimate. It's chasing down Loveless. Let's see how this Trundle can work. OG Kush is teleported into the back there as well. That's going to be 1 killed. Can you catch this Orianna? No, you cannot. Very close to going down there as well. Lucky didn't have the pillar up.
Yeah, but that's still the TP burned from Jacobri. Not going to be able to exploit the fact that OG Kush teleported in for that fight. So there's no real pressure that this Bloom squad can put on the map outside of Zyke right now. Scoobs is starting to scale at 2.5 items. Will become a major threat here. in the 4v4s and 5v5s, but if Split Breed and Kush and Klein can continue to pull apart the map, they can completely empty out the power, invalidate the value of this Sivir, and that's going to feel really bad for Bloom.
Yeah, I like that Zyke here is trying to get some gold off this map, picking up that tower, getting some extra gold, and it's actually bringing him down to just a 6k gold difference as it was at 8. So they're slowly crawling back, but it's a slow crawl. Dragon's up in 2 minutes, and it's still going to be really tough as we see a teleport coming in from Zyke into the backline. Ultimate is going to be popped by Sivir. Nature's Grasp popped there as well. We're going to see a 5v3 here. Big shockwave onto SWF, and that is the Ashe down. Mima6 in a lot of trouble. Scoops is popping out more and more damage. Scoops picking up another one. What a call. What a fight. And that's exactly what you need if you're Bloom.
Yeah, the question is, what are they going to be able to get off of it? Right now, they're walking with 4 up through this mid lane. They'll be able to get 1 turret here, but will Ziggs have enough wave clear to make sure that they can't get an inhibitor? Because if this base breaks, they're in trouble. But in the meantime, Splitbreed wins this fight down on the bot side. Zyke cannot protect this inhibitor. So overall, in macro, it's still not a win for Bloom, despite a great pick onto the Ashe and Memer sticks.
Yeah, Splitbreed has completely committed to this split push style, has elected to pick up a hull breaker, that's just, you're completely ignoring your team at that point, saying, listen, you guys can take those fights, you can teleport, you can, kill off my team and try to push on mid lane. I don't care. I've got a hull breaker. I'm split pushing, and I'm going to say, listen, I'm living up to my name. I'm going to split push and get a win. And we'll have to see how it works out for him.
I want to focus on the absurdity of this, Sharpie, as these teams set up for Baron. This is a jungler with a hull breaker. This is a player whose entire role is be with your team and control objectives, committing to the split push, because they're that confident in their ability to shred through side lanes. How incredible is that?
There's 3 options I see here. 1, Splitbreed is just built different and is just a Giga Chad. 2, it was a mispurchase or a misclick or whatever, which I highly doubt. Or 3, this guy just watched a lot of OG Trick 2G. And it could be a combo of all of them, but, we'll have to see how this split push style works out. Can Splitbreed open the gates, as Trick would love to say? Because that hull breaker, you're all locked in on it, and you're going to be at a bit of a disadvantage around these objectives because you had such a big lead, but a lot of those stats disappear when your team is nearby. So Dragon is spawning up right now, and it looks like Bloom is just electing to say, you guys can take the Dragon Soul. We're going to pressure Baron here. So we have a split call right now. Trundle is walking up to contest this, and they're going to leave Ashe and Thresh down there as they elected to go into a fight right away. 9line Clan getting lower and lower and lower. Slowly chunking away. Those concussive blows have 3. Zyke is not going to do anything else, and they actually pull the Thresh and the Ashe off the Dragon. So Dragon resets. A couple ultimates were used, that's the On the Hunt and the Glacial Fissure used for Bloom, whereas no ultimates or any of, I guess, Flash for 9-9 Klein, but other than that, nothing was popped. So that's going to be Mountain Soul over to Dorado Gaming Mew.
Yeah, and that was a great call by Mew. Even though they had to pull off the Drake, they managed to pull Zyke up, and that's the big thing. Because Zyke was the only thing holding those super minions from wailing away at the Nexus turrets. And you can see, the moment that fight ended, Jacobri had to back. Jacobri had to be protecting those Nexus turrets, because they know that OG Kush can shred through anything that comes remotely close to that death threshold. So even a neutral play with inhibitors down like this becomes such a major advantage from you. They're going to be able to parlay it, not just the Drake Soul, but also now they're going to look to pressure Baron. They're forcing TPs out from the Orianna here. They're forcing them to walk blind into this red squad. It's going to be so dangerous for Bloom as the fight starts.
Here goes the fight. It's a big shockwave to start off the series. Here comes the Nature's Grasp out from the Mordekaiser as well. Scoops flashing backwards away from 9-line Klein. Zyke is on the killing spree though. This is 2 kills over. Splitbreed has dropped as well. Loveless is continuing to chase Sivir with a double kill. The On the Hunt is still running. Zyke flashing over the wall. SWBF. Cloudberry jumping over the wall as well, but that might have been a bit too far as 2 kills are going to go back. Jungler still up. Loveless. Let's see if SWBF and OG Kush can do anything about this. They're going to be teleporting into the base. Ziggs is teleporting in. They're going to have to jump back off this Baron and reset here because Ziggs could just straight up end the game. Can SWF stop the recalls? There comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow to stop Loveless from resetting. Ziggs is chunking away at this base. That's one tower gone. Loveless is joining in onto SWBF. Can you get the kill here? No! Maokai has dropped as well. What a crazy fight. No, Maokai can get the kill back because you had the sapling, but what a crazy, crazy turn of events here. This game is all over the place.
I love this play by Kush because it's so ridiculous that you don't think it can possibly work. But because of how few members Bloom had alive, they couldn't afford to fight both the Baron and save the Nexus. So Kush, able to get both Nexus turrets here and stop the Baron, means that entire fight, that beautiful engage from Bloom, is basically rendered pointless. Yet you get the kills, you buy some time, but now you can never afford to leave your base because the moment you do, that Nexus is dead meat.
It is. Both Nexus turrets are gone. So at any point, you could see this game completely turning around. However, we are down to just a 3,000 gold difference, so it still is technically anyone's game, and we saw how strong the team fight is becoming for Bloom. Sivir sitting on 4 items now, has the Navori Quick Blades, the Bloodthirster, Static Shiv, Lord Dominic's Regards to shred through the tankiness of this Trundle and Mal fight, so anyone could win this game at this point.
Yeah, blue inhibitor respawning on the bot side. This will give a little bit of breathing room to the Bloom squad, which is why Dorado's not giving them the chance to catch their breath. They're going for the Baron. It's getting burned down so quickly, and Bloom has no idea. 6,000, 5,000. This is a Baron taken under the noses of Bloom, and that little hope of that inhibitor respawning just pops like a balloon.
That was so close. If they had just been a bit more aware and had that vision over there on the Baron, Aatrox had TP up and could have shown up whenever they wanted. So, just a bit of a misplay there, not having the vision to see that Baron going down, because it's an Ashe and a Ziggs and a Trundle. It goes down quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like Bloom is playing this endgame poorly. They're winning fights. They're picking good engages. The problem is they were just too far behind from the start. The macro that they had in the laning phase left them with so many holes that they need to patch up that they're struggling to keep pace with Mew here as they push in on all sides.
Yep, the pressure's coming in. Aatrox is hanging onto the side, might be looking for a bit of a split push angle, or a flank angle rather. There is a deep teleport where they're in the bush. Maybe Aatrox could look for teleport there. The hook's going to go wide. 9-line Klein walking back in to keep putting pressure onto this tower, which is down, lost about a third of its health. Splitbreed throwing the Trundle pillar over the side. Zyke is kind of hanging out there as well. Lantern's going to keep Splitbreed alive for the moment. The push is coming out there. Here comes the Nature's Grass. On the hunt, has been popped from the Sivir as well. This is going to be the game, most likely right here. That is a big fight, but Zyke is already down. Shockwave only going to land onto one. The Ziggs ultimate is going to miss there as well. Double kill for SWBF, and the chase is coming out. Enchanted Crystal Arrow will miss, but the slows are landing onto Loveless. Scoobs is trying to throw out the damage, but Loveless is dropped. Triple kill over for SWBF, and the push continues. They don't have a wave at the moment, though.
They don't have a wave, but they don't need to. They have 40 seconds on these timers. It's just Jacobri and Scoobs with 9-line Klein TPing in to force through the top side as well. It becomes impossible for these two carries to defend unless they can manage to find picks. But look at how far back they're forced to play. Klein, the threat of just flashing onto them is so scary, and now with no Nexus turrets to help defend, it feels all but impossible. Jacobri caught out. Jacobri is dead. It's just Scoobs, and they do not have nearly enough to save this Nexus.
That was really close to being a fantastic comeback game by Bloom, but you mess up on the vision, they get the Baron, they have the push, and it's just game over at that point. I loved the effort that we saw out of that, though. It was really close.
Yeah, it could have been a great way to restart this series for Bloom, to turn it into a best of 3 here. And they came so close with how they handled the second half of that game. But Sharpie, this is why preparation is so important. This is why laying the foundation means so much. Because Dorado was able to win the early game, because they had the pressure where they needed it to be, the missteps that they made, the actions that Bloom was able to take this game back into their control, Mew could absorb them. They could manage, even with the losses that they were taking, to continue to win the game. And
Mm.
Bloom now has to rethink once again because they tried the execution strategy and it didn't work. They tried a much simpler strategy and it didn't work because they couldn't get the early game. So now they have to rethink this strategy and make it in such a way where they can still find victories in the early game as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they pivot because I did really like that team comp. It just got a little out of out of their hands at the beginning. However, I do have to say how they were able to crawl back from an 8,000, closing in on a 9,000 gold deficit and bring it back to just one Baron sneak away from potentially turning the game around has to be a big it has to be a big boost of confidence for Bloom
Oh,
going into game
absolutely.
3 to recognize that, hey, this playstyle with Sivir Orianna, if we can reach the late game and not be down like Mountain Soul and be having so much pressure on our back with an exposed Nexus right off the bat, this game could easily have been ours. And maybe that's a playstyle we can double down in game 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, game 3 will be upon us soon, Sharpie. I think it's time to draw the line in the sand. Is Dorado Mew going to take this 3-0 in a clean sweep and punch their tickets to the Plat Finals, or will Bloom make this interesting and force a game 4? We're going to have draft for game 3 right after this, so don't change the channel. And back to draft we go. Game 3 here. Dorado taking blue side once again. Bloom stuck on the red. And Sharpie, there is a lot that Bloom needs to ban here away from Dorado to avoid getting picked blue 1.
Yeah, the Maokai is an issue right away. The Ziggs, of course, is going to be banned away. Jinx could also be a first pick for Dorado. It looked really good there in game 1. There's a lot to worry about here. And you can, at this point, because Graves is off the table, you can only get rid of, yep, that's going to be Hecarim gone. So I'm almost guaranteed this will be a Maokai first pick here. No, they're going to take the Jinx. Interesting.
Yeah, I like this here. Jinx is a very, very strong ADC, especially with the capacity to get excited and stack that get excited. It makes these team fights so snowbally. You only need 1 kill. Even if you're down 2 kills before the fight starts, you can turn it around so rapidly with an objective, with a kill, and you can tear through the team and objectives afterwards. So having this Jinx is incredibly intelligent from Dorado. And again, harkens back to why I was surprised that Bloom banned it in game 2 rather than pick it themselves.
Yeah, Jinx probably might have been a good pick there in game 2 instead of the Sivir. So, but you know, bygones are bygones. They're gonna go and completely change up their strategies though here. Xayah Rel 1-2 for red side here for Bloom Lotus. Interesting picks here. Rel, of course, can flex between the jungle and support, so I like that flexibility in their draft. And Xayah is just a very good overall AD carry.
Yeah, and Rel is a very good support. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a little bit surprised that if you're going to slam the Xayah on red side in first rotation, you don't immediately pick up the Rakan to match. Because this gives Mew the chance to pick up the Rakan on their own. And yes, it doesn't necessarily work as well as the Alistar did in game 1, but the denial potential for it is so valuable here that even if the Rel is going support, it's not necessarily a bad play to grab it here.
Yeah, not a bad play to pick up the Rakan. They're going to allow them to take it if they want to, as Jace Lilia are going to be the 2-3 for Dorado. Lilia's out of left field. I'm so excited to see how this works out. That's going to be most likely for split breed.
This feels like an ego game, Sharpie.
Little bit.
That's all I can really describe it as, because I can't imagine that there is much of a coherent team comp behind this. We'll have to see as the next couple of picks come out, but it really does feel like Dorado's just saying, we are up 2-0. We have plenty of games behind us. We can just kind of roll over this team at this point.
Now, we do have to be a little bit careful if we're Dorado, though, because Bloom Lotus, as you said, had a reverse sweep earlier on. So that is something to kind of subtly keep an eye out. And especially, you know, you've got a lot of team fight power potential here with this Rel-Nico combo. We saw it a bit at Worlds. We saw it a bit in like playoffs for LCS. It's a very destructive team fight burst combo, and it can absolutely take over a game. We'll have to see how they pilot it.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential here, but I'm starting to feel echoes of game 1, you know?
Yes.
Where this is a very good draft, but it's so execution dependent, right? You need the Rel to be able to get a good crash down Magnet Storm. You need the Nico to be able to get in and get a good Pop Blossom. You need the Xayah to be using those Feather Storms optimally and being able to stay alive here. And while we're going to see how the team comp rounds out with Red 4 and Red 5 here, it doesn't feel like Bloom is doing themselves any favors.
Not really. We're going to take a look really quick. The Camille that was banned is open. The Mordekaiser is back and available for, you know, a game 3 stomp if you want to try for that again. There's a few picks that are just available for this top side. Plus, support, if you're going to either have a support counter pick or a topside counter pick, and I don't know which one you'd rather give over, as we're going to see again, as the same as game 1, the Rakan Nautilus 4-5 bans from Dorado.
Yeah, so they're pretty convinced that Rel is going to be going to Loveless here, and that makes sense. It's not exactly what Cloudberry tends to play, so we will be seeing the Blitzcrank instead.
Spicy.
I don't know, Sharpie. I like the Blitzcrank. I love Blitzcrank in a vacuum. The issue is, I don't know how I feel about it here.
I like it. You've
You do.
got, especially in team fights, you've got, if you pull somebody in, you basically guaranteeing Nico can get a stun off, which is more than enough time for Xayah to get a blade caller back through and stun up. There's just so much ability to just whoever you pick, maybe besides the Alistar, who you don't want to be pulling anyways. There's
There you
so
go,
much
though.
potential to get kills here. Just to execute somebody. You have so much CC and lockdown from Rel, Xayah, and Nico. Anyone you hook is basically dead outside of this Alistair and now this Ornn. So if you can land a hook on a Jinx, a Lilia, or a Jace, it's over, as they're going to pick Camille into the Ornn. So very, very spicy top lane matchup here as well.
Yeah, see, I was with you, and I'm with you all the way through, but my problem is, in what world does the Blitzcrank in team fights ever get anybody but the Alistar and the Ornn? It's reliant on finding picks, but the rest of this Bloom team comp, well, except maybe the Camille, but the rest of this comp is built more around team fights. So it feels like it's a bit at odds with the rest of the team comp. I'd prefer to see something like the Thresh that has more of a team fight ability here and more value to the team outside of just the hook.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But also there's something to think about, is that if you can get a pick with this Blitzcrank, as opposed to that game one where they needed their ultimates to get the picks, this time you don't need ultimates to get the picks. Blitzcrank Q, Nico E, Xayah E, Rel with the crash down isn't their ultimate either. And so you have abilities to have those, you have the potential to have those abilities right back up in about 10 seconds. And now you're at an advantage 5v4 to set up a much more advantageous team fight for yourself. So this pick comp is not nearly as ultimate dependent and is a lot more recyclable. You can keep getting picks after picks after picks every 10 to 15 seconds. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Dorado to be snooping around through jungles with a Blitzcrank hiding over a wall. So this pick comp I like a lot more than game one. Plus you actually have split push pressure with the Camille. So as the game progresses, there is no way Ornn can deal with a Camille. So you could even set yourself up advantageously anyways, because you're going to need two people to respond to Camille in the first place. And now Blitzcrank has free roam to try to pick off people in disadvantaged locations, and it could work out well for them.
Yeah, it could. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm curious how that 4v4 is going to stack up, though, while Ornn is trying to match the Camille, because the boldness with which Lilia and Jace were slammed, they didn't hover that. They didn't think about it. They said, this is what we're doing, like that.
Yes.
What are they cooking here? Is this just raw confidence? Is this just, we're ahead 2-0, we can screw around? Or is this, these are champions that are pocket picks for us, we're going to dominate the 4-on-4 team fight with pure hand check here?
I think what this is, Dorado is saying, our players are just better. We're going to blind pick Jace mid. We're going to pick a Lilia against a Rel, which sounds awful, by the way. And
Yeah.
we're going to blind pick Jinx B1. We're going to blind pick Ornn. It's a lot of cockiness, and it could work out for them because these champions of the Jace, the Lilia, the Jinx can all snowball so incredibly well, and Ornn has that late game kind of assurance. But at the same time, in the mid game, if the team fights or if the team compositions, or the gold levels rather, are pretty even, Bloom's team fight composition is just going to be so much stronger. So it all going to come down to execution, early game proactivity from Dorado. Can Lilia get those bowling balls down to set up this Jace, to set up this Jinx? Can the Ornn survive Camille's onslaught? All the onus is on Dorado here in the early game.
But that does beg the question here. Bloom, over the past couple of games, has given themselves opportunities in the early game with their draft and then not been able to follow through. How much confidence do you have that with this draft, they're going to be able to make it into the mid game in a state where they will be able to take advantage of it, rather than having to dig themselves out of a hole like they did in game 2?
I feel good about it. Camille has so much self-peel. Nico's got a lot of just self-peel and ability to get back under tower. Xayah, obviously a lot of self-peel. And you've got the team fight peel protection assurance of a Rel. And so, I'm not so worried. These champions are just a lot harder to dive and a lot harder to kill in lane. So again, it could go very wrong. The Jace factor is always just going to be a Jace factor. Jace gets one kill, it's off to the races. But we're gonna have to see how it plays out. It's hard to predict at this point because it's so much up to execution.
Well, time will tell. But as we're loading onto the Rift, Sharpie, I'm pretty sure Dorado has had their glitch with the speed at which they were drafting and the hype with which they are choosing their champions. But I'm not so sure that Bloom has had it. I think they need to take this spectator delay to go to Glitch Energy and order some of their lovely Jitterless Energy blend because they're down 2-0. They gotta get some pep in their step. And you know, these long series are tiring. I know that Twitch chat is probably flaking out on us as well, so they should go to Glitch as well. Use the code BlueOtter, get 20% off their order, get some fabulous jitter-free energy, and really get themselves to get up and go to see out the rest of this series because, as we mentioned, Bloom has done this before. They have reverse swept, so we might be in for the long haul here, Sharpie.
Yeah, you never know. It's Bloom Lotus. They've done it before. They can do it again. I'm excited to see if they can pull it off. I think we're going to go to a quick little break here to allow the spectator delay, but banger game 3 coming up. Will Dorado take the series and bring themselves to the finals, or will Bloom take their first step in the best of 5 reverse sweep comeback and do it yet again? Don't go anywhere.
And on to the Rift we go for what might be the final time here in the Blue Otter League Platinum semifinals. And I think I'm finally getting my wish here, Sharpie, for some level 1 shenanigans. But it's a counter invade, and Dorado Mew is not going to be so silly as to walk directly into it. So Cloudberry's not going to be able to land that hook.
Nope, it's a good attempt because they have been kind of peaking up like that every other game, but this game they see the Blitzcrank and they say, I'm good on that one, and they elect not to step up, and it's a smart play.
Yeah, they're going to make sure that they don't get hooked. They're not going to lose anything here in the level 1, and on top of everything else, this pressure from Bloom sitting in a bush like that means that they're not getting any vision of what Splitbreed's doing level 1. So, yeah,
Mhm.
the Lilia is going to want to farm up, going to want to get to a couple of items here before she really becomes a major threat on the map. But still, not having any vision or knowledge of what Splitbreed does gives this Lilia a whole lot of flexibility to put a little bit of a thumb on the scales of these lanes early.
I mean, to be fair, neither side really knows what each other is doing. So Rel is also going to be starting off strangely with the wolves up there. So we'll have to see how that pans out. The pathing, they're going to be inverts. So Lilia is going to be slowly pathing bot side, whereas Loveless most likely going to be pathing up towards top unless they look for like some funky. No, they're going to be actually heading up top side. Interesting. Interesting path.
Yeah, this is very strange from Loveless going Wolves into red buff here. I can only imagine that this is Loveless wanting to try and clear out this top side and rotate back towards Scoobs and Cloudberry here, not wanting to leave this bot lane alone for too long, not
Mhm.
wanting to let SWBF start to scale on this Jinx again.
Yeah, you don't want to see the Jinx scale, although Zaya does scale quite well as well. It could also be an angle where Loveless is looking to get some early pressure onto 9-line Klein to see if they can get this Camille a bit of an advantage in the early lane. Because, Ornn, just with that Bellows Breath and the amount of damage that he can put out early, is a bit oppressive for a Camille to deal with before she has too many items.
Yeah, Sunder really necessary for Zyke there before he can start dominating 9-line. But
Mhm.
in the meantime, that'll be a pretty chill lane without any Loveless impact. First
The
hook
hook,
does land here.
Mamer Sticks is going to get down to about 300 health. So it's a very nice hook from Cloudberry.
Yeah, a little unfortunate that they're not able to finish the job there, as Memer Sticks will be able to use that passive and start to heal up here fairly rapidly, in fact, as the heals from Alistar are beefy at these early levels.
Yeah, Alistar heals are a bit OP. They're going to keep Alistar. Alistar's going to be just fine,
Yeah.
despite taking a big chunk of damage there.
It feels a bit weird, doesn't it? That a tank with so much teamfight value as Alistar also gets to be oppressive in lane with free sustain.
Riot is cooking, and maybe they shouldn't always be in the kitchen, but sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss, and sometimes they just go moo. And that's what Alistar does down there. He just goes moo and heals and kind of hangs out. And he's just thankful that there isn't a Silas to do his job and just do it better. So, is what it is.
Yeah, if Riot was a fast food restaurant, they'd be Arby's. Most of the menu is a swing and a miss, but they've got that one thing that just hits every time.
There you go. I like it. Yeah, they're definitely not a Taco Bell, because Taco Bell, it hits every time.
Oh, absolutely. But back to League of Legends here. Mid lane is a bit fascinating because OG Kush completely out of mana here, whereas Jacoby is full health and mana, so that's gonna force Splitbreed to come in, push away this Nico, and try and buy enough space for OG Kush to get an early reset here. Gonna be a little bit awkward for this Jace moving forward.
Yeah, and talking about solo lanes, look topside. Ornn down at 16 CS compared to Zyke's 32. It is a big early lane CS lead for this Camille. And as this game progresses, although I guess there is a big stacked wave there, so it is going to even out a bit. But as this game progresses, that's just going to get worse and worse. It's going to be more and more difficult for Ornn to stay afloat in this lane. So if it goes awry this early, it spells disaster for 9-line Klein as this game progresses.
Yeah, and we talked in pregame about Bloom needing to make sure that they don't lose in the early game, but Dorado as well has to make sure that they don't fall into a hole pre-6 here, because that's when Splitbreed really comes online and becomes able to gank and start helping out these lanes. So if they fall before this Lilia can start having an impact, it'll be impossible for her to salvage anything.
You can't be dying while it's the same thing as the Nocturne problem. You can't just be taking dumb trades and getting yourself chunked low and then ganked by a jungler before Nocturne has the ability to pop that paranoia. Same thing here. You need that Lilia who's just going to throw a little bowling ball down the lane. That's not going to do anything. It's kind of showing up in the lane and saying hi, but yeah, we haven't seen much of like competitive Lilia gameplay. And there's a nice little hook there onto the Alistar. The Blade Caller is going to actually chunk him and stun him up so he gets even lower. But again, it's an Alistar, so he's going to be just fine. But we'll have
Yeah.
to, it's a Dark Harvest Lilia, so we'll have to see how this plays out. I don't know if I like the Dark Harvest.
What would you have gone instead then? The Conqueror?
Yeah, Conqueror, or maybe you go Phase Rush just to kind of give yourself a bit more mobility to get around these fights. But yeah, I don't know about Dark Harvest. That's a really cocky move here by Split Breed.
And perhaps earned given games 1 and 2, but losing pressure on this Drake early means that Bloom's going to have at least something to work towards at the start of this game. Early Chemtech picked up by them, and it's a couple of minutes too early, yet there's not going to be any chance for Split Breed to trade onto this Rift Herald.
Ornn is going to pop the ultimate, uses the Exhauster because he has the spell book. Ignite going to be popped there by Zyke. The ultimate, the Camille is going to use, and it's going to dash over, but the Bellows Breath just does enough damage, and that's going to be 9-line Klein, despite being down quite a bit in the lane, picking up a solo kill. Well played to this Ornn.
As a tank player, and a tank player since Season 3, I've been here for too long, but I love to see tanks being able to take those fights and win those fights. And Klein now, look at this, going for a kind of aggressive build. This is going to be a Frozen Fist Ornn, it looks like, not a Jack Shows. So looking to have those trades, looking to be able to battle Zyke one-on-one in the side lane, now that he has a little bit of a tempo advantage. I love this aggression, even if Mew doesn't necessarily have the stats to back it up right now with a 20 CS deficit in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, you get a good kill. I don't know if I would have elected into that 5v5 trade if I'm Zyke, because like the upside is the lane stays pretty much the same anyways, and the downside is you let this Ornn back into the game a little bit. So, but ultimately, like you can see it right there. Even though Ornn got first blood gold and a kill, Neeko gonna flash forward there with a Pop Blossom. Here comes Cloudberry, gonna get the knock up. The hook isn't even gonna be needed because Neeko gets the ultimate, and OG Kush cannot count minions. Unlucky.
Yeah. 1, 2, 2.5, Neeko. Sounds about right.
That's the numbers I learned as a kid.
Yeah. You know, poor OG Kush here has been so dominant in the mid lane up to this point, but a little bit of a swing and a miss there on that. And good roam by Cloudberry as well, getting up there, able to join in and make it very simple for Jacobri to confirm that kill.
Yeah, Jacobri had a nice resets, teleports back in after getting that kill. Has about a 15 CS lead. Isn't it? It's set in a great spot, and this is Bloom at a 500, 600 gold lead. About 10 minutes into the game. Zyke, that's a nice flash from 9-line Klein, but Loveless is flashing over the wall. Zyke is getting really low. The ultimate going to come out from Loveless, and Loveless going to take a kill there with Jacobri roaming through too. So this is... Oh, let's see the Jinx rocket though. Jinx is ulting up here. They're pinging away from it though. And that's, yep. Loveless did tank it up. Cloudberry is in a bit of trouble though. The bowling ball is going to whiff. Still going to come out though. Is SWB up? Goobs is not going to get the kill. SWBF just barely hanging on with the thread of life. Going to throw out that zap. Is not going to land. Scoobs is still trying to see if they can do anything. The blade collar is nice, but OG Kush going to take a kill back. So despite being pushed a bit down, does roam down and get a kill for themselves. And that's going to be Jace right back into the mid lane with the gold levels basically even back up again.
Yeah, the problem is this is still a big win for Bloom because they were able to get 3 plates on the top side. So they're going to have a little bit of extra gold in pocket. Although, looking down the line, I'm not sure where that landed because it feels like everybody's not far enough ahead over their enemy laner. So perhaps those plates just disappearing into the ether there, that would be unfortunate for Bloom.
Yeah, that really would be. Plus, Neeko had that big lead and roamed topside to help with that Rel Camille dive and didn't even get an assist on it, which allowed the Jace to push out that mid lane and roam down for that kill bot side. So that one play there, that one roam from Jacobri basically lost that 15 CS lead and lost the gold lead because I'm peeking at the items here. OG Kush is actually up 100 gold, probably partially at least thanks to that that first try, because I'm going to take a peek at it really quick and see if I can... No, it's not going to tell me how much it has earned for him. Well, maybe I can find it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a pain to find stats stuff here.
He's gained 44 gold from it.
Yeah, that's not
So,
nothing. That's a couple of minions, which feels
yeah.
pretty good at this point in the game. But still, the combat power from the Jace isn't super high because he has the garbage pail of items right now. He's got all components of varying values, and even though he is getting close to what's likely going to be either a Duskblade or an Eclipse here, the fact that he had to pick up the Null Magic Mantle, the fact that he has the Tear of the Goddess means that he's a little bit behind in terms of raw value over what Jacobri has right at the moment.
This bowling ball, the sleep is going to be popped from Splitfree, who's going to use that W to jump on. That spin is going to, that's just so much damage out of the Nico. Sorry, the Nico, the Lilia. They're both animal characters that look, they have the same color scheme and everything. You can't blame me. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, Lilia gets a kill.
Yeah, sure does. And far be it from Splitbreed to need multiple items to be a major carry here. Already 2-0-1, but the Drake's stolen on the top side.
Loveless with the steal. That's putting him at 2 dragons. It's gonna pop that Magnet Storm. The Scryer's, whatever that plan is, gonna be popped, and Loveless is gonna get sniped down by SWBF with the Super Mega Death Rocket rather. Camille teleported as well as the Ornn. So everybody kind of showed up for this play despite the dragon already being down, and they just kind of showed up because they saw all the action going down bot side, and they said, hey, we wanted another fun too, and didn't get any fun at all. So that's welcome to top lane, right?
Yeah, but still though, that's big for Bloom. You lose Loveless, and that feels bad. Getting kills here onto the Jinx is always a good sign for Dorado.
Lilia.
Getting more onto Splitbreed. Is Splitbreed going for more?
Yeah, the bowling ball completely whiffed, unfortunately, but the Q they're gonna whiff again as this ultimate gonna come out from Cloudberry, and that's gonna stop this for now. But Zyke is roaming down. Well, at least you think it's Zyke. It's actually the Nico, but yeah, that's just nothing else is gonna really happen from there. OG Kush. Okay.
At the end of the day, though, Loveless still stole the Drake, which means that Bloom is not dissuaded from their scaling towards Ocean Soul. And Ocean Soul into what is, at its core, partially a poke comp with this Jace Lilia feels very good because it means that they can survive through a lot of that poke. They can make it hard for Dorado to chunk down this team before going in for real.
Oh, absolutely. I like the prospect of an Ocean Soul for this team as well, just because, like the poke from that and just the team fight power, because these team fights are going to be extended. There isn't a lot of burst, as we're going to see. Memersix is going to get caught up here by these 2 tanks, but it's 2 tanks against a tank, and OG Kush is here as well. Loveless is still electing to go back in, though, for the moment, because Jacobri was there, but SWBF going to throw down the Chompers to say no pushing any further, and that's the end of that fight there.
Yeah, end of that fight there, but Splitbreed may be the next target here.
Yep, the ultimate from Camille gonna come on. Here comes the Nico flashing forward, gonna land the knock-up. Sleep did come out onto the Camille, but Zyke gonna get the shutdown onto Lilia, and that's more gold into this split pushing Camille's pocket, who has a Triforce, and that Q did a lot of damage.
Yeah, I'm old school. I don't know how I feel about the Triforce over Sunderer, but Zyke seems to be happy with it for now. Nineline Klein has completed the Iceborne Gauntlet as well, so we're going to be seeing some Spellblade fights here on the top side for supremacy in the split push.
Yeah, split push, I think at this point, though, because of where Camille is at, Nineline Klein's going to pop the ultimate there to try to stop this tower from going down. A lot of damage actually coming out from Nineline Klein. Let's see if Zyke is going to execute the tower. Teleport was swapped out. No, that's the flash swapped out for the Ignite, and it's going to burn that just to keep Zyke away. But that's the first tower gold going over to Zyke, and the gold's still even, and Bloom is actually hanging on quite well in this game.
Yeah, but this is what you called in the pregame here, Sharpie, of Bloom needing to hang on to the mid game. Splitbreed's in trouble.
Cloudberry gonna flash forward to knock him out. Splitbreed failed the flash over the wall. Scoop's having to use that ultimate. The Featherstorm is hanging on for a moment. A big Magnet Storm onto 3. Jacobri picking up SWEF. The knockup is coming through. OG Kush forcing to dash away, trying to get away. Memersix gonna knock away Loveless, but the hook is gonna land onto OG Kush again. A double Q from Loveless. Mimir6 is going to drop there to the Nico as well. Split Breed barely going to get out with their life, and that is a 3-for-0 in favor of Bloom.
Split Breed is just getting way too greedy here. There's no reason to be that deep when you know that the numbers advantage is there, and now they're going to die again here to Loveless.
Oh, the Q. The Q missed from Loveless, but that's going to be a red buff steal, and Bloom is up to now nearly a 2,000 gold lead. Zyke is going to be a problem on the side lane. It's kind of falling apart here in the mid game, and Dragon's going to be up in 30 seconds. This could put them on Soul Point at this fight if the pressure continues as it does, and Dorado might be scrambling a little bit because that mid game fight right there went abysmally wrong. That invade to try to take, and it was all for a blue buff.
Yeah, there's no reason to take that fight when you took it. There's no reason to take that fight at all. Don't get me wrong. Split Breed completely out of their mind for that, and now they're going to be forced to try and fight into Bloom here for this Drake. If they want it, they might just decide to leave it be, which feels almost worse because it puts Soul Point on the table. But you can't walk into Cloudberry right now. The only member you can send in is 9line Klein, but even that feels awful right now.
It does. We'll have to see how this goes out because Zaya's on the side. Doesn't have the Featherstorm for at least, I'm going to check what it is. Doesn't have the Featherstorm for another 30 seconds. So you want to be careful if you're Zaya because you're missing that key ultimate for your carry, whereas Dorado has all of their ultimates still available. The bowling ball is going to whiff. Dragon has been leashed out. Loveless is trying to start to slowly chunk some damage onto it. Scoop's getting those feathers into the Dragon Pit as well. As for now, Dorado's just hanging out, but here comes the Call of the Forge God. It is going to land onto Cloudberry. An EQ out of Jace as well. It's going to do a bit of damage onto Loveless, but still nothing so far. Cloudberry is down to about 1,000 health, so that could be a little bit of an angle. Is they going to get a hook? Zyke is actually getting pretty low over the other side. Blue team is going to steal the Dragon away, but a big pop blossom onto 3 from Jacoby is huge. Split Breed getting chunked really low. Mimir6 in a lot of trouble there as well. Camille going to force to pop that ultimate, but will drop. Mimir6 is dropping as well, but the chase is on for Bloom as the hook is going to land. Another big hook by Cloudberry. It's going to get a double kill over to Scoobs. This Blitzcrank pick is working out brilliantly for Bloom.
Yeah, it is, and yes, they lost the Drake there, which feels pretty bad if you're Loveless, but you're still picking up kills. You're turning Jacoby into a major threat here, however, a beautiful...
That's a 4-man sleep here. 4-man sleep coming in. Let's see how this works out. Double kill, immediately over to this Jace. Loveless and Cloud, you have to chase away. Teleport coming in from 9line Klein there on the side. Split Breed gonna pick up 2. Gonna pick up 2 there as well, so that is a 4-for-0 double quadra kill from these 2 in a 2v4. What a turn back around from Split Breed and OG Kush. Great vision to see them overextending for that tower and completely turn that what looked like a huge loss there into a massive win, and they're up gold again.
Yeah, the cleave from that bowling ball just did so much because it allowed for the 4-man sleep to come out from Split Breed. And not only do they get 4 kills, they get Split Breed and OG Kush some huge shutdowns in pocket, but they also get a Rift Herald as well, which they'll be able to use to get some of this standing gold on the map. They're up 1,000 gold, and they're down a turret, which means that they'll be able to take that with the Rift Herald. They may even be able to take a second. So that's a lot of gold that's going to be spread out throughout these members, help them get to a couple of key item completions here, like the Demonic Embrace for Split Breed, making that burn hurt even more, making this Lilia very, very scary as we move into later team fights.
Yeah, and it all looked so good until it didn't for Bloom. It was looking so great. They had 2 dragons. They were set up for Soul Point, and that just slips away with them from a steal by Split Breed. They get a good fight and then overextend and give 4 back to this Lilia and this Jace. But Zyke's gonna be in trouble here as well. The bowling ball is gonna miss, but the Q is still gonna land. Let's see what happens here. The Zyke is gonna use that ultimate. Split Breed is down to half health. Are they gonna have that E up? Its hookshot is back up right now. Actually looking to go back in. Split Breed got really low there. Zyke, oh, that was an aggressive play, but meanwhile, Bloom is on the Baron. Split Breed was caught completely unawares in the bot side of the lane. The map, rather. Jacoby is kind of hovering around for it. You might want to just pressure this out because are they going to continue this Baron? This could be a big play or it could be a big throw. Zyke is up in 20 seconds and has a teleport, but the rest of the team is slowly showing up here. Split Breed is on their way back up. Zyke is really low. Cloudberry is going to drop. Jacoby flashing in though. 3-man Pop Blossom, but it's not going to be enough. Loveless is trying to run away. SWBF doing the damage. The zap is going to slow them down. Double kill over to this Jace.
That's Baron.
Scoobs is going to be the only one left, and that's going to be Baron. That is a 3-0. Zyke is here, but the health bars are still very high, and Zyke does not have the ultimate.
And all credit for that fight goes to OG Kush, poking out with the accelerated shock blast there to get Jacobri low, to get Scoobs low, to make sure that Bloom couldn't really take that fight, even if they were able to remain on the Baron. And now, Baron secured from you. It's a 4,000 gold lead, and despite the fact that Bloom had good fight after good fight after good fight, now Mew back in the driver's seat. They have control again, and suddenly the two major carries for this squad of Splitbreed and Kush are just out so far ahead of the rest of the pack.
Yeah, the Jace Lilia are just insanely far ahead, and Ornn has level 13, will be closing on level 14, so those ornaments are going to start to slowly trickle in for these two high damage dealing champions, as well as we get closer and closer to this next dragon. If you're Bloom, you really want to secure this one and put yourself on soul point, because that at least gives you something to play for in the next 5 minutes after it. But you're down 4k gold now. It's closing in on, it's actually closer to 6k gold that you're down now. No, it's still 4k gold. It's 3.5k gold. My numbers are mixed up. But yeah, you really want to be careful here, as a bowling ball is just going to whiff onto Scoobs.
Yeah, the problem is there are so many balls that you need to dodge for Bloom. The shock blasts, the bowling balls. You need to be aware of the zaps coming over the top from SWBF. It's just so hard to stay alive and healthy for these fights. And now you can see Scoobs poked out to about 2/3 health means that they don't have the ability to walk forward and pressure this Drake. They're going to have to try and force their way in, but it's so hard right now, Sharpie, to try and contest. And they're just going to lose this Drake and even it up at 2-2.
Yeah, I think it's probably the right call. It's just a second drag, not the end of the world. You're going to allow the Camille to get some work done on the side lane, do a little bit of counter jungling, and push this wave in and get some damage down onto that inner tower, as we can see on the mini-map. But Jacobri might be in a bit of trouble. No, it's going to be just fine. Yeah, see, Zyke is doing a nice little chunk of damage there on the side lane, but the ultimate's going to be used here by 9line. Second proc is going to land, so Zyke is getting really low. Hook shot, nope, flash forward, brittle. Sorry, the Bellows Breath, rather, is going to get the kill. So a solo kill again for 9line on the side wave, picking up that kill on the Forge God. Is now 3-1 and has a gold bounty. They're picking up a tower in the bot side as well. So this gold lead is snowballing. We're up to closing in on 6,000 gold lead here for Dorado. And they're looking to push in and get more and more pressure towards making this a 3-0 and securing their lock into finals.
Yeah, not going to be able to break the base on this Baron push, but able to clean up some more standing gold on the top side as Ornn clears out the outer turret. And we'll likely get a good chunk of the inner turret, as well as Zyke still not respawned, just now coming back up. So 9line getting great amounts of value out of that kill. And on the other side, the numbers advantage for Bloom does not matter. You don't have to care if Splitbreed's away, because the rest of this squad still just outstats Bloom right now.
Zyke is really looking for this 1v1 here. Has picked up their second item in that Ravenous Hydra. So has more and more damage, plus the sustain that Ravenous Hydra offers. So is feeling a bit more and more confident as this game progresses to just deal with that Ornn, especially when this Camille gets the third item, which I'm expecting to be some sort of armor penetration. It's going to be a lot more difficult for Ornn to deal with her. But we're still about 5 to 10 minutes away from that. So if they can hang on, Camille's going to be a real problem. Menace in the side lane, but Ornn has done a great job of staying alive in that matchup.
Yeah, and it only gets easier as this Dorado squad stacks these Ocean Drakes. Because the healing with every tick becomes more and more powerful, exponentially so, it allows Klein to fight through Zyke so easily here, matching the Ravenous. And now, with the Bramble Vest immediately built to match, just it removes the value from Zyke so much, makes it hard for this Camille to do their job. And you have to give credit there to Klein for controlling this split push, because this is something that we were talking about in pregame. As Zyke should absolutely be a point of power, Bloom should absolutely be able to win through top lane, but they haven't. Klein has made sure that this is not a win condition that Bloom can pursue.
Yeah, they've done a great job of shutting down Zyke, who looked really good early on, had that advantage, had that pressure. Again, like we saw it again, where they're help. In game one, they were helping out Jacobri on the Orianna. In game three here, they send up, the Rel and the Nico roams up to help Zyke get that lead. They took 3 early tower plates, but ultimately, Zyke is just behind again. Nineline Klein did a fantastic job. It's the Ornn, so you're just going to be more useful in team fights. And this Ornn, by the way, is level 15, which means Splitbreed has that Leandri's upgraded, has that Duskblade upgraded as well. And these champions are steroided out of their minds right now because of how far ahead they are.
Yeah, I mean, look at that chunk. A single accelerated shock blast takes Scoobs down by about 600 health. That's alongside the bowling balls and zaps coming out. And right now, Zyke is forced to remain with the team because of the threat of this Dorado squad to look for another Drake, to look for a Baron if they find an even-numbered fight, because they have the numbers or the power advantage. So they're trying to find a 5v4 here.
Mamer6, they're looking for a little bit pick here. Is Bloom. Mamer6 is the target, though, and that's a tanky Alistair as Nineline Klein is teleported in. Magnet Storm onto 3 is good. Pop Blossom going to come up, but it's going to be flashed away only onto 1. Nico is dead. Blitzcrank is down as well. Zyke is trying to run away, but Splitbreed is doing so much damage. The ultimate is going to come out from the Camille, but triple kill now for Splitbreed, and they're chasing down Scoop. It's a massive shock blast onto this AD carry, and that's going to be a clean ace. 5-0. Baron is up. Dragon is going to be up in about 40 seconds as well, and they've got a wave to push in mid lane.
Yeah, they're going to get a couple of turrets here, back off towards these neutrals, but that was just a beautiful fight from Dorado. Yeah, congratulations. You got Memer Sticks, you got the tanky Alistair. This is what I was concerned about in pregame with this Blitzcrank. You're going to pull the member that doesn't matter. That Unbreakable Will gets popped, and Memer Sticks can stand in the middle of this Bloom team. He can take all of the punishment that they want to dish out, and he took maybe 10% of his health there, which gave Mew so much time to regroup, so much time to reestablish themselves in the fight that they could tear through the rest of the squad. And now they have Baron. They're looking at getting Soul Point themselves with 3 stacks of this Infernal Drake. It's going to be so difficult for Bloom to regain control of this game, as Zyke's in a weird spot here.
Yeah, Zyke teleported in, and OG Kush teleported right in behind, as Bloom is just saying, we got to go for this dragon here. We can't let them get to soul points. So they're going to try to contest and steal away this Baron, or this dragon here on their reset. Let's see what can happen. Yep, they're going to get it, as Splitfree did not have the flash to get over the wall, but the fight is actually being chased down here. The double sleep's going to come out onto 2. Loveless is going to pump the Magnet Storm, but he's going to die there for it, as Zyke is forced to run away through enemy territory. Jacobri using that, I don't even know what that ability is called, but sends the clone through the team just to add a little bit of something or other. But yeah, that's 1 down. You did take the dragon, so you're on soul point, so you still have a little bit of something to play for, but you're down 10,000 gold at this point, and it's not looking good.
Yet you're down 10,000 gold. The enemy has Baron, and now with a numbers advantage, they should be able to break this mid inhibitor, which will make it so much more difficult to contest the Soul Point Drake. We will almost certainly be going to 7 Drakes if we can get that deep in the game here, Sharpie. But I don't know. With how much pressure they have, with how much health they have, this Dorado squad is just looking for the game.
Yeah, Nineline Klein popping the ultimate. That's a huge chunk of damage there. Scoobs is already down. Camille is still on the sideway trying to teleport, but it's going to be too late. Double kill for OG Kush, popping the Zhonya's, or the Zhonya's for his Splitbreed, and it's only Jacobri and Zyke left. Zyke canceled the back on accident, I believe, and double kill over again to this Blitzcrank. Not the Blitzcrank, the Jace rather. And that's going to be a 3-0 clean game for Dorado Gaming Mew, and they are in the finals.
It's disappointing, Sharpie, for Bloom. It's incredibly disappointing for this series to have to end this way, because it felt like they had control of this game. It felt like they had the momentum early, because Dorado had not put them behind, because they didn't come out super ahead of laning phase. But at the end of the day, they just couldn't execute, despite Splitbreed making mistake after mistake, forcing his team to salvage from him going too deep in, from him over-aggressing, trying to push the early advantage on Lilia. It just didn't matter, because when it came to the team fights that decided the game, time and again, it was Mew making the better macro calls. It was Mew that was winning the micro. It was Mew that was positioning better, using their ultimates more effectively, and always, time and again, coming out on top.
Yeah, Mew just, I mean, Bloom had that opportunity there in the mid game. They lost that third dragon, which was disappointing, and then they just overextended a little bit too much on that outer mid lane tower, gave over 4 kills, and completely lost any momentum they had. It was looking so good for them too. It's heartbreaking to see, because as this series was progressing, this team was just getting better and better, and they looked like they were getting more and more cohesive. I almost felt like the reverse sweep was slowly eking its way into the back of my mind there about 15 minutes into game 3, and then it just fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's no shame in what Bloom has accomplished this season. You came into BOL Plat, which is a very competitive league, which has a ton of top-heavy teams, and you pushed all the way to the semifinals, and you gave a Dorado team a good run for their money. That's nothing to be ashamed of. This
Not
is a
at all.
team that has done very well, and they can now parlay this. They have a couple of months here with the end of the season. They'll have a shakeup with the new 2024 Rift. So they'll have a chance to come back here in the spring and show out and show that this wasn't a fluke, that they can come back here in future seasons and maybe come out with a chip.
Yeah, major props to Bloom Lotus for having a great showing, making it here to the semifinals here in playoffs, and just the showing of that reverse sweep, a great story. And unfortunately their road ends here, but applause to this team nonetheless, who had brilliant moments. Cloudberry on this blitzcrank here was brilliant in this game, and just landing hook after hook when they mattered. And it's just they fell an inch short at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now the question becomes, and I don't believe the answer is out yet, but who does Mew face in finals? Is it going to be a team that can contest them in the way that Bloom did in Game 3? Is it going to be a team that can force Mew to respond rather than constantly responding to Mew?
Yeah, I want to see a very competitive team make it to the finals. I liked how Bloom almost turned that game around in game 2. Game 3, they pushed forward and had a lead, and then just had a bit of a miscalculation and lost it. There were moments in this series where Bloom could have ran away with it, and just little mistakes were the only differentiator in those moments. So a team going into the finals can watch this VOD back, can watch and see how close game 2 and game 3 particularly were, and how easily they could have turned either way, and say, we see moments where Bloom could have turned this game around. We see where Bloom could have won the game there. We see where they overextended a bit too much here. We notice how they didn't have vision on Baron in this key moment. And we can shore up those issues, and we can start taking games off this Dorado squad.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to finals. It's going to be very fun. Plat has been an incredibly fun league to cast from start to finish. But speaking of start to finish, it is nearly the end of the BOL season. We are the only league that is still running here at BOL. Gold has finished, IBS has finished, Masters, Diamond, they have all finished. So the only stream left to end out the season is going to be BOL Grand Finals in the Plat League tomorrow, Tuesday of next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Set your calendars, folks, because it's going to be an incredible match. Dorado Mew versus the winner of the other semifinal. Sharpie, any final words before we call it a night?
GG's to Bloom Lotus. It was fun to cast you guys. You had some great plays. You looked fantastic. Keep your heads up high. You have a lot to be proud of, and I'm excited to see you guys all coming back, hopefully for next split. And to Dorado, go win it all, guys. You guys looked fantastic. Keep it up. Keep up that energy. Keep up that confidence. You can keep bringing out exciting characters like the Ziggs, like the Lilia, and give us a banger series in the finals.
Well, folks, it's time to say goodnight.